Forgetting Ashville is an actual play Chronicles of Darkness podcast set in the fictional New England town of Ashville. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We've talked at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same, so listener discretion is advised. Now let's forget our troubles. Last time on Forgetting Ashville, Dan and John began their investigation of the Order of the Toolmaker meeting at the factory. The abyssal Akamoth possessed Jesse and attempted to murder Aviva, but Aviva counter-possessed Jesse, freeing the werewolf. Lola walked the dreaming roads, visiting Gary and her grandmother, and found the dreamscape of John's mother Ramona. Then, Ramona found Lola. The changeling started to summon eidolons of her friends to help her escape Ramona's mind, with a strange, locked box. John, you're outside by your car. Dan, you are in the main factory with Amber.
All right.
You had asked to be shown around. She had offered sweatily to show you around. The machinery is going. There's nobody really in here, but the factory's running anyways. In the air is the smell of, molten metal and flux and just all sorts of oil and, machine lubricant and all that kind of stuff. Roll me a wits composure for a perception check. This is scent-based. I don't know if you have, Jesse's scent.
I don't have the same kind of things he does outside of Wolf.
Sure.
Scent doesn't do damage.
Wow.
Doesn't Lola literally have spores around her?
That's not come up yet. Yes, I do, John.
That would be a 0.
Overwhelmingly smells like hot metal and grease in here, basically.
I'm looking around, but nothing unexpected.
It's just a bunch of factory stuff. All the machines seem to be running. Unclear what they're making in here, but everything is running and churning along, and you and Amber are walking on like a steel catwalk.
Yeah.
It's the floor is one of those, those metal floors that are like grated floors so you can see through them, but they're pretty solid. It's sort of above the main factory floor.
So some T2 bullshit. Gotcha.
Yeah, some T2 bullshit, yeah.
Yep.
And you're just walking around and Amber's like, yeah, so this is it. This is where the magic happens. And then she realizes what she said was really stupid and laughs, but it's not funny, and then just stops and puts both her hands on one of the guardrails and just looks down oh, that's the main machine down there, and points down at this huge machine, conveyor belts of raw metal and stuff are going into, and even from here you can feel the heat coming off of it. I'm
pretty invested, so her things land pretty well.
Hell yeah.
And I just oh man, that's pretty cool. I've never been here.
Everybody always said we would really love to get Dan in here and it'll work. I'm so glad you're thinking about joining up. And just to remind everyone here, Lex, what was the socialized bonus that the clothes you made for Dan giving him right now?
Dan is enjoying a +5 bonus to his social rolls depending on how he uses it. That can be on, off, depending on how he handles that.
Sure. It works just as well as a pile on the floor. Gotcha. So she just continues showing you around. You guys are walking on the catwalk. There's lots of gears and machinery turning, big crucibles of molten metal. Because this is, in theory, right? This is a die-cast tool company. They make die-cast tools.
Yeah, I'm asking her questions about the various machines as we go along, and where does she work?
Amber actually works. She looks at you and is like, oh, I'm in quality control, right? So when the products come out, we use a couple of special machines to make sure that the parts that come out are of a certain quality, right? So we measure metal density, and we measure to make sure that they can actually withstand the forces that would be applied to them, right? So we just make sure that when a product goes out the door, it's a quality product, and that's us. That's what I do. It can be a little boring sometimes, but it's very clear she does not think it's boring, but is trying to do that thing. Was hey, I'm a math major and I don't know how to talk to you because I think you are way too cool for this. She doesn't fucking know.
She doesn't know that I'm not too cool. Okay.
Maybe she does know. I don't know, man. And talks about working in quality control and the different machines and calipers that she has to use to stress test the parts that come out.
I mean, I keep engaging her in various questions along the way and just like getting the general tour and looking, because like everything I've heard so far from John and Hank and Jesse is that this is a bad place. So I'm just kind of trying to see the bad things, which I'm not doing a good job at, which we've already established. And also part of it is probably because I'm actually listening to her. So like it's kind of hard to do both at the same time. And I know there's supposed to be a locus here.
Yes.
Can I feel that, or do I have to look across?
You look across. You can sort of gauge your senses. Like, you could, in theory, feel the locus, but you know that if you look across, you should be able to see exactly where the locus is, right? And, like, if there's any ambient spirits around that are drawn to feed off the locus and that kind of thing.
It's definitely a warring thing inside of Dan, because he knew his brother was extremely shook by what he saw when he looked somewhere in this general direction, but Dan thinks he's stronger than his brother, so there is that. Also, my nature, or in this term, my blood is challenger, so...
Okay, so, I mean, let me ask you a question
Yes.
then, Tim. Is Dan looking across the gauntlet?
I just answered that.
Spend the essence. And you may look across
I just need to
the
take
gauntlet.
time. I don't have to...
Oh, yeah, you could just take the time to do
Yep.
it.
I
So
can
you
only
look-
use one sense at a time.
So you look across. Right beneath you
Mm-hmm.
in the factory floor, as a matter of fact, right near where that big machine with all the heat coming off of it, molten stuff poured right into it, like as the metal's going in, that is where the locus is. And as you look across, you notice that despite this being a locus, and you and Jesse went across and found out that this, there was an essence drought on right now, right? Like, it's a problem.
Right.
There are some spirits of industry, some spirits of some spirits of machines, but they're twisted. They're warped. They're not. They exist, but in a very, like, you would expect them to be just like flocked to the locust to feed off the essence of it.
Right.
But they look starved as well. And out of the locust, directly from the locust, is an impossibly tall spire, piercing through reality, made of rusted, twisted metal. And now, just like the others, I need you to roll me a resolve
I
composure.
refuse to see the impossible machine. Just turn it off right then. Nope. I see nothing. Guess I will spend my, third willpower of this game. Oh, God. Too many dice. 5 successes.
It's an exceptional success. You see the infrastructure before you. As a matter of fact, you see it superimposed both in the Hysil and in the real world. You can physically see it. And this close, you will become aware of one fact on an exceptional success. All infrastructure, this one included, has a weak point, has a weakness somewhere. Now, you don't know where that is right now, but you are aware at this fundamental level, looking at this cosmic impossibility, that it is not, in fact, indestructible. Now, maybe going up and smashing it might not be the key to getting rid of it, but it is here.
It's not a real weakness, then.
You do not go insane. You also gain the unseen sense merit for infrastructure. And you stop and look at this thing. You don't go insane. It's an exceptional success. You have a little bit of insight being this physically close to it. And now, because you have perceived it, you are no longer subject to the hidden infrastructure. You can just see it now while you are here. Despite that success, it is unnerving. It is unnatural. It is not natural to the spirit. It is not natural to this world. It is something other that is upsetting. But you're totally in control of yourself, and you're here. And as you pause and look at it, Amber looks back over her shoulder and goes, "Everything okay, Dan?"
Yeah, just, stopping to think about how crazy some of the machines that, we interact with are, and all the impossible things that they can do.
Yeah, pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool place, I have to say. I've definitely always been interested.
She nods, looks at you, waves a hand towards the big machine, and as she waves a hand, it is directly at that infrastructure coming out of the locus, and goes, although she doesn't seem to be aware of that fact, she's just pointing at the big machine.
Right.
And goes, isn't it amazing? The cradle is just going to revolutionize toolmaking, right? It'll bring this town back on the map.
That's quite a name.
The cradle?
Yeah.
That's just what Carl calls it.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's pretty neat.
I mean, I'm sure it's really complicated stuff, but, at the end of the day, it's just, metal goes in, tools come out.
That's pretty fair. Is there any fun off-limit places here?
Wait, what do you mean? I mean, we're not allowed to walk around on the factory floor. That's why we're up here.
Yeah, that's not quite the same.
She is beat red, and it ain't from the heat. Like, Dan, what do you mean? Like off? I don't know. You don't. I mean, off limit is where you don't? Huh?
Yeah, where people don't usually go. Yeah.
Why would we want to? I mean, this is all the stuff to see. Why would we want to go some place that doesn't have? You're not supposed to have people at, Dan.
It's okay. Why don't you just think about it, and we'll keep moving, and you tell me.
Roll me a socialized plus presence.
Just got frat boy energy now, buddy.
It's your people's fault. Okay, 1. 2, it's also my character's fault. So that's where we're
There
at.
we fucking go.
I'd like to start by blaming everyone but myself.
That's correct.
You may add the suit, and you may add your appearance.
It's a lot of dice for this. Yeah.
To brag.
It's a lot to handle. Nope, she's as dense as I am.
Did you get nothing?
Yep.
Oh my god. How many dice was that?
10.
That's ridiculous.
Your presence plus... Oh my god, okay.
Presence plus socialize is 4. 5 from the suit. 9 plus 1 from striking looks. 10.
Plus 1 from striking looks. Yep, yeah, fair enough. Damn.
Damn, Daniel.
I mean, it makes sense between the two of us.
Oh, for sure.
Lex, your face is just... I can't read it.
I just...
Spent so much money on that suit.
I don't think you did.
What if you
I
put
had
the
so much
suit on the
faith.
floor? What if you just
Dan can
get
save
naked?
this. No, this isn't over. This isn't over.
No, don't
this
worry.
isn't over.
I have not struck out.
Yeah, strike one, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm nervous, but I'm still confident.
My scene partner's got my back. No worries. I don't know what this is.
Let's you keep walking on the catwalks. There is a door down
Mhm.
on the factory floor, like in one of the walls, near the cradle, that has a "Do Not Enter" sign on it. But she doesn't like take you there or
No.
point you in that direction or anything. You would notice that, but that's about it. And she just keeps walking and is like, "Yeah, so I don't know what they'd have you do. They'd probably start you on one of the machines or loading the trucks or offload. I don't really know.
I'm not sure either.
What do you think you're? I mean, they really wanted you around, but what do you think you're good at, Dan? What's your?
No, I'm pretty good with my hands.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I know. Maybe you would be in QC with me, right? Like, that'd be crazy. That'd be weird, though. That wouldn't
could
be
fun. Why don't you show me this QC area?
Sure. Yeah, I'll just show you. Yeah. And she leads you on and actually gets to like the end of the catwalk where there's like some metal stairs down to the factory floor to take you there, and stops and goes, "Ooh, I'm really not supposed to, like, if you're not part of the union, you can't be on the, I'm sorry. We're not supposed to, but maybe maybe some other time we could, get you all signed up and you'd start working, and then we could, I could show you. I've got like schematics and stuff at my, and then she does not finish the sentence, my apartment, and just stops and looks at you.
I mean, I am petitioning to be on the union. Pretty good way to, let me know what this place is like, Who knows what you guys are hiding in these corners back here.
Hiding? We're not hiding anything. That's crazy. Roll me a manipulation persuasion. You may add the suit and your appearance.
2 successes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? Well, oh, sure. I mean, as long as we put on hard hats.
I mean,
Yeah.
I won't tell if you won't tell, and I give her a huge wink.
And she opens the gate and forgets to put on a hard hat. And she just like walks down the stairs, down to the factory floor. When you are down here, you feel like a vibration of the machinery in the floor. And there's the sound, like, it's a little loud in here, right? But like, it is louder down here on the factory floor. You can feel the heat coming out of the cradle. And you can hear the hiss of the like liquid metal being poured into you've done something within the machines.
Right.
You can hear the grinding of gears and the whirring of machines, basically. Roll me a wits composure. This will be for hearing.
2 successes.
Okay. And she's just walking you through the area, right? And you could feel just the intense, extreme heat coming off of the cradle. As she walks you past towards, like, there's a couple of, like, partitions down here that kind of section off parts of the factory floor.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the QC area. Pass by, do not enter door near the cradle. And from within, for just a second, you hear, like, a wet sloshing noise. She doesn't seem to register it, or she's heard it so many times that, like, she doesn't notice it anymore. And then she just continues on towards the QC door. And is like, yeah, so I work in here. We're supposed to have safety shoes on and things like that. But I think it'll be okay if we just keep being here our little secret. Just the 2 of us, right?
I give her a little smile and I nod her head. I think it'll be fine.
Great. Okay. Sounds good. And she just opens the door to QC. And there's like some machines in there to measure density. And it's just some basic factory floor, like, quality control section. And she starts talking about the process she goes through with some of the other members of the union. She keeps slipping up and saying order instead of union. But to her, it almost sounds interchangeable. Oh, this one measures, like, the stress tests. And this measures the density of, the quality of the metal, right? Because you have to have the right qualities. And this measures... And she just kind of rambles on, kind of in her element. This part gets a little boring.
I'm probably, if she starts showing me to utilize the tools, I will basically just, like, put my hands on her hands as she's trying to show me the tools to see how they're utilizing and stuff like that. And just, like, break that foundational barrier.
The foundational barrier is broken. I'm not going to make you re-roll again for this. Like, she's extremely nervous.
I'm trying to make her less nervous.
It's not going to work.
Okay.
Like, it's just, you get the impression it's not going to work. She will never, like, she's not somebody who's going to make a move. She will, like, wait for moves to be made. And trying to make her less nervous just makes her more nervous.
Well, I mean, I'm engaging in said moves, essentially, is what I'm saying. But I'm hoping that she will get into it, I guess, is the question, without just, like, having a nervous shutdown.
That depends on what you end up doing, like, how far and how fast you're pushing here.
Not particularly fast.
He's just letting you know that he's putting on the moves.
Yep.
That's correct.
You are pretty sure that she would be receptive to the full moves here from Dan, but she's, like, almost paralyzed.
Oh, are you all right?
You okay, buddy?
I'm
That
sorry.
was a noise.
Are
you okay?
It was just the exceedingly clinical words that we've been using.
Hey, man, I'm throwing your own words right back at you.
I that's why I laughed. I know me. So no, I'll get her talking. And if, like, she's in the middle of that, I think I will just at some point or another just, like, she's got to be smaller than me. I cannot imagine
way
that she's
smaller than
she
you.
cannot be. Yeah, well, I just wanted to clarify that I was imagining that
Amber's
she's
like
not
Amber's
an
like five.
Amazonian.
No, Amber's like 5'3".
Yeah.
She's like Lola sized, Ben.
Yeah.
She's like Lola sized. Yeah,
Yeah,
a little
I-
stockier than Lola,
Yeah.
but
I assume she's not in possession of striking looks because that was never brought up in the description.
she,
before.
no, she's an average looking person.
Yeah. She wear glasses.
I mean, now she does. Yeah, like.
Does she have a ponytail?
I mean, on the factory floor, yeah, she reflexively put her hair back in a ponytail for safety around the machines.
So she's talking and, like, she keeps going. I, like, gently remove her glasses from her face. And then I like
I
put
need
them
those
down.
to see.
And then I like cup her chin and go for the kiss.
Uh,
As she's in the middle of like
her heart gives out and she dies. No.
Humanity check.
I was like, I think killing mortals is actually a break towards spirit.
Weirdly, despite how heavy-handed you've been, she still seems surprised when it happens, but is very receptive to it and, like, stretches up on her toes in turn because Dan fucking is like a foot and a half
Oh yeah,
taller
but
than she is.
I'm definitely bending. Like I've dealt with this before.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, I did the same thing essentially to Lola before, where I was like, I crouched down on my knees and everything. It's like that. You get used to being way taller than everyone else.
And she is very invested in what happens.
Sounds like a good time for John to start investigating.
What's that sound?
Hey, John. As we fade out of Dan's scene, how and where are you infiltrating?
Taking advantage of Dan's distraction for the meeting.
You definitely, yeah.
My plan is to quietly slip into a side entrance and make my way around. My intention is to take advantage of the meeting that's theoretically still going in some way. And from there, I'll case the place and get ready to head in by opening locks with a touch, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So as you are casing the joint, you see Dan and Amber walk out and just walk into the factory, the two of them.
Damber.
Wow, Dan is so fast. I'm just going to tail them in.
You get to the door, and the door has shut behind them unless you, like, run immediately behind them. And it is locked, right? Like, Amber had, like, a key or something to get in and let Dan in. That is a locked steel door on a factory.
Okay. I'm going to take the door handle and exert control over the matter that makes up the door and open the door after it is abruptly unlocked.
Okay. Quiet about all this?
That is my preference, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to need a dexterity stealth from you.
Actually, I'm going to cast something really quick. I'm going to attempt to manipulate shadows and use the spell potency to grant myself bonus dice on stealth rolls equal to that.
Okay. Make the roll.
Unfortunately, this is pricey, so I'm going to spend the mana to do it now, off the cuff, rather than waiting the time.
Okay.
3 successes.
Okay.
That's going to give me a 4-die bonus.
Roll me your stealth. And I'm going to roll a pool of dice too.
I'm spending a point of willpower for the bonus dice. I have 6 successes.
Nice.
You, with the shadows, step through the open door and into the factory, seemingly unnoticed and unseen. The lights are motion lights, so you actually see the lights start to go off as Dan and Amber move into the QC area after several moments of you doing things outside and stepping in.
Once inside, my intention is to start snooping around, and I'm actually going to extend my mage senses with the intention of starting to try to pick up on anything that's going on. The big thing I'm looking for is somewhere that resonates with death, somewhere that these sacrifices have been happening, if this is where they've been happening.
Okay. Roll me an investigation.
Does crime scene apply?
No, this is not a crime scene.
Yet.
You need me to kill someone?
This is not an active crime scene.
Yet.
You gotta stop saying yet.
Yet. I have backup plans.
I don't know what I expected there.
Rebecca got my back.
1 success.
Before I tell you the results of your investigation, I would also like you to roll me a wits composure for a perception.
Does the 2-die bonus apply to that? I don't know what this is for.
The 2-die bonus does not apply to this part.
3 successes.
So you start to snoop around the factory. You see a lot of the same things that Dan saw. You smell the machinery, the hot metal. Something that occurs to you is you see raw material.
Important thing.
Okay.
I will spend a gnosis. Any attempt to affect my soul causes a clash of wills.
Good to know. Something that occurs to you, you see the raw materials, the molten metal being poured into the cradle. You do not see tools coming out of the cradle. You are aware, because of your new sense and your mage sight extended, of the infrastructure in this world extending into the heavens. You can't see the Heseal like the wolves can, but you also see it in the twilight, built up into the heaven, overlaid over it, just like it exists in all the other places. You smell the faint smell of blood, even underneath the molten metal and the flux and the ozone, and just the smell of heat in this place. And you get an overwhelming sense of death energies beneath the floor and slightly seeping out through a small door on the factory floor marked "Do Not Enter." With your wits composure for perception, you also notice on an opposite catwalk a small shadowed shape, but the size of a man, but like crouched down with a gun in its hand, looking around the factory too. But with your stealth roll before, it does not seem aware of you. It does, however, seem aware of the 2 people who just walked in to the quality control room.
Okay. Question.
Yes.
Is he snooping around like, I don't know, a cop? Does he have cop face right now? Does his silhouette look like a cop?
Some resting cop face going on.
I don't know how to answer that fucking question, man. Like,
It's a yes or no. Are his hands up like Leon Kennedy snooping around a place where zombies might jump out and get him?
he looks like he is holding that pistol in his hands with a professional demeanor, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, I'm asking it, but is his impression like, is his profession
it-
law enforcement?
It looks like he's got tank controls. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Then yes.
Where's Redfield?
No, it's way more of a Leon Kennedy vibe.
Yeah, so he's a cop. All right. So with that in mind, I'm going to pull out my flashlight and with it wreathed in shadow, just so that the light is better directed to not draw attention from elsewhere, I'm going to quick flash it so that he becomes aware that I'm here.
The gun is immediately trained in your direction.
I know. That guy draws his gun.
It was already
constantly.
drawn,
Yeah,
to
I
be
know,
fair. But yes. And then Estrada recognizes, now that you've drawn attention through your stealth, you can see the silhouette visibly sigh.
I kind of motion for him to come closer. I am going to use matter sight,
Okay.
and I'm going to look through the floor.
Okay. You see Estrada starting to... I mean, it's a big catwalk around the top, so it's
Yeah.
going to take him a minute, but you see him starting to move over in sort of a rushed crouch. Do you have to activate anything? Do you have to roll anything for your matter sight?
I do have to roll to cast it.
Well, there we go. Use your X-ray vision, John.
I will regain the gnosis that it costs to do it immediately, and a +1 for an exceptional success. I have 5 successes on that.
Okay. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is this a generalized see through the local matter? Are you only seeing through the floor?
I guess it's not truly like my eyes. I can expand my senses through matter to see things that are hidden. And in this case, I'll be using my reach to...
Really, I'm just asking if this is targeted, or are you going to see what's going on in the QC room?
I will leave that out.
You sure? Because the glasses are coming off. It's getting pretty steamy.
It's educational.
Is it, though?
Yes.
I mean, it is for her.
It would be for John, too. Look, buddy, we've talked about this.
I'm like, how? So in essence, what the spell does is I can closely examine it for weak points. I can also get things that are hidden within it. And I'm using that I can do it on the floor or the building, whichever one you think makes more sense. Essentially, what I'm specifically trying to do is find what's in the floor.
So you're in the building right now, targeting the floor probably makes the most sense.
Okay, yeah, and it lets me not look at whatever Dan's up to over there. I'm going to use the reach to find hidden things in it, and reach to locate any weak points that it has.
Okay. So the weak point in the floor, right, the floor itself, is there's actually some parts of the floor that are, I mean, this is an old factory. And there are, around the cradle, everything is fine, but there are a few, like, little structural points that are weak, kind of where, like, the old machines would be, some boxes. There's just a few parts that, like, you can see just by looking at the material. The steel is old, and while a lot of stuff has been done to reinforce around the cradle, as you start to get further from that, there were a couple of points where, like, maybe there was a bad weld, maybe there was, like, things did not actually get updated in the same way. Hidden beneath the floor, you know that there's an access to the underneath space. There is essentially an entire sub-basement underneath the whole floor, underneath the whole factory. There are catwalks on the sub-basement. And beneath those catwalks, now that you're looking, you know where that death energy was coming from. There is a charnel house of horror down there. There is a pool, like an Olympic pool of blood. There are mangled body parts, torn faces, decades worth of dead bodies that for some reason have never rotted. And John, I need you to roll me a resolve composure.
Yep. 2 successes.
You do not freak out. You do not throw up. But this is a deeply upsetting thing to have to look at. It goes against the very natural order of rot. And you start to maybe think about some of the things that Jesse and Dan had said about the natural order being out of whack. Why would there be this many bodies? How would this have been something that wasn't noticed before? Because that is not just the people that were on the list that Estrada gave you. This is decades of unrotten corpses, kept fresh somehow. It is horrific and unnatural. And that is when there is a hand on your shoulder. And Estrada, crouched down next to you, goes, "So this is how you were snooping around? I thought you were going to talk to the cult."
I suddenly look at Estrada with, like, wide eyes shaking.
The fuck's the matter with you?
I grabbed information. I was hoping to find out a little more here. The meetings might still actually be going. The cult.
That's why I wanted to be here now, because if they're all in there, nobody's going to be in here.
I thought the same thing. It's true, all of it. But it's so much worse. You should not be here. I say absolutely hypocritically.
Yeah, but you also shouldn't be here. Right? I thought we were going to be working together.
I know, you're right, and I'm sorry.
What's Dan doing down there? Is he also getting information?
Something like that.
Inside man would be helpful.
Dan's in the area just in case something happens here and I need help. And he's very good at keeping their attention. He's popular, he's charming, and they've wanted him in their circles for a while.
Okay. Yeah, fine.
So, those accidents were meant to cover murders. They're keeping the bodies here. They've been keeping the bodies here for a long time.
What do you mean they're keeping the bodies? Why the hell do they keep the bodies?
I'm going to show you something, and it's not going to make any sense. It is not going to give you any peace.
He gives you a sidelong look like, do I want to fucking see this?
And it will haunt you for the rest of your life. Or you can just take my word for it. I think you should take option B. But if you want to know and you want to see, I will show you.
There's a very clear flash of, like, I already saw some shit in the last few nights that I didn't want to have to see. But he looks at you and goes, "Show me."
Okay. John gives a resolute expression and kind of tries to put himself back together again. Also, sorry, I'm going to show you, but first, they can hand out pins. Do not, under any circumstances, put those pins on you.
They don't really
Just
invite
like
me to their meetings.
You have one. I saw it.
Oh, you're talking about the one in it? Yeah,
Do not put it on.
I'm not in the habit of putting on evidence.
Okay, well, you're obviously down for B&E, so I didn't want to assume.
Warrants take too long.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a lot of time, so
Yeah.
Judgment, I
That's my
guess.
thought, too.
Okay. All right. Through that door, there's a passage. I start, like, just not really as calm and cool as he'd like to be. John makes his way to the door.
Estrada follows down the stairs. Two of you moving reasonably quiet.
I'm going to ease off the benefits of my shadow manipulation just because I don't want him to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, along with him, I'm going to head for the door and check to see if it's locked.
Going past the door, the two of you go very close to the cradle. And you can feel the heat coming off of it. And with Estrada that close to it, physically, he needs to make a check or go insane.
Do I have the opportunity to preempt him for just a moment?
Did you think to do it before you got close to the cradle?
No, I was going to do it at the door.
Then no.
So if I'm sensing something's wrong as he's already there, then yeah.
It's too late.
Okay.
He gets 3 successes, but he starts to freak out, and you feel his hand on your shoulder, like, gripping too tight. He goes, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that, John? Is that what you want to show me? What is that?
That is the beginning of what you're going to need to see. But I don't have answers. I'm going to present you with every piece I can, and if you've got ideas, I'm all ears.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, okay. All right, there's more that you wanted to show me? It wasn't this?
The bodies.
Yeah, okay, show me.
Now, with his hand on my shoulder, you may infer from this what he will, but I will place my hand on his hand. And once I have made contact...
I'm sorry, hold on. Erika made the just kiss motion, and
I'm always ready for it. Well, Lex prefaced it, you may infer what you wish. So
I'm not complaining. I said I gave... hey,
carte blanche.
Infer what you will.
Go ahead and roll. Lex.
I'm going to put a shield on him to protect his soul.
Okay.
I can't shield the mind, but I'm basically going to do what I can to kind of help this guy make it to the other side. As in not die, but, the other side of this problem.
Yeah, I get you, yeah. You're a Moros. You got to be clear about it.
Yeah, I have to specify.
The two of you stand outside the door that you are aware leads to the sub-basement. It is locked, obviously. And Estrada, not really knowing what you can do, kind of pushes you out of the way a little bit.
I am absolutely banking on him picking the lock.
Pulls some picks out of like a pouch on his pants, and very quickly and deftly picks the lock, puts the things back in his pocket, looks at you with like a "don't judge me" look, even though you didn't look at him anyway.
I will straight up give him a nod of solidarity at this point.
And then he opens the door, sort of reflexively puts a hand on your chest in a like "I'm the cop, I'll go first" kind of maneuver, clicks on a flashlight and holds it in one hand while he's got his pistol out in the other, and then just very professionally starts moving down the stairs. Jesus, it stinks. And as soon as that door is open, you can smell blood and meat, but no rot. The two of you walk down the stairs, and there are graded catwalks, just like there were in the regular factory, and mere inches below them is just a pool of blood and torn bodies. And Estrada has a tolerance for biology. He has spent a lot of time looking at horrific crime scene photos. He does not have to check to make sure he doesn't lose it, doesn't have an integrity breaking point, but he is clearly horrified nonetheless. What the actual fuck?
So, this is just a theory, but they've been collecting these bodies and doing awful things as some sort of, like a fuel. And the thing that they're making up there, John, like, points up, kind of finger shaking a little, up there, is meant to bring some sort of salvation that they're looking for. All this talk about renewing the town, it's this thing that's going to do it.
Strata's listening, but as he's listening, he's like casting the flashlight beam around, just like looking at everything, and you see, torn faces and severed limbs and organs, and then he looks over and shines a flashlight beam on the opposite wall. It goes, "Look at that. Where do you think that goes?" And there are pipes that appear to be feeding from the pool or into the pool up into the factory floor itself. And you are aware, because you looked through you could see what was hidden through the wall, through the floor. Those pipes are feeding directly into the cradle, as if lubricating the machine.
It's part of the process. Those pipes head up into the machine. They keep the cradle going. So it's like in some mythologies, death, sacrifice, blood is used to keep the machine that is heaven or what have you working. This is some sort of play on that whole idea. Just twisted, wildly out of control.
John, you have death sight.
I do.
So the other thing that you will start to see that Estrada is fully not aware of now that you're down here is occasionally pained and horrified ghosts, pale shades, are writhing within the pool, lost and afraid, in pain, confused. There's not really a whole lot you can do about it, but they are here. And Estrada continues to just sort of look around and say, fuck, this is too... They got a lot of guns.
They do.
No, I mean like literal guns, I found out.
I know.
Okay, great. Thought we were sharing information. Yes, fine, whatever.
Like, I give him a look like, yeah, motherfucker, look around you.
Fuck. Alright.
Here's the thing. What they're doing is complicated, which means it's fragile. And all of it is building towards the festival, which means whatever they're planning to do is going to happen sometime around then.
That explains your mom.
What did she do this time?
She's got me tied up for the day. Leaned on some shit, so they've got outside off-duties coming in to work security. She said it's better for the town if I was a participant in some, stupid fucking festival bullshit. She's got me walking around on a fucking stage.
Well, I'm going to be honest. You at the festival could be a good thing, but you got to go in aware and ready. I wonder if the festival is meant to make sure that no one's here.
It's possible. I don't know.
Right?
It would explain why your mom wants me there.
If they only need a handful of people running the machine, they can send everyone to the festival, keep the whole town busy.
Do they need anyone running the fucking machine? Because that shit's running and there is no one in this factory right now.
Point made. So, I feel like I can throw wrenches into this and slow it down, but I think all I'm going to do is draw their attention when we're not ready. I'm going to check on Dan, gather a few notes, and why don't we try to meet up sometime before then?
Get you and your friends together and we'll talk.
Sounds good.
You get out of here. And he pulls like a little camera out of his pocket and just starts taking pictures.
I give a look like it's always awkward because I'm like, I kind of give one of those looks where I was like, well, I might need to protect you kind of like looks. And it's just kind of accepting that there's no way he's going to buy that. I just start heading for the door.
Dan, roll me a wits composure.
1 success.
You and Amber are in the quality control room. For her, it seems to be a very nice time.
Excellent.
Enthusiastically partway through, you feel a sharp prick on your back. Roll me a resolve composure.
Motherfuckers.
1 success.
As you feel Amber take her hand away, you sort of lean back, and you have what is very clearly something sharp poking like between your shoulder blades. And her eyes look blank, and there is the sound of machinery. I mean, you're in the factory, right? Like, it's always been there, but there is like a whirring and a clock ticking kind of sound.
So I'm going to reach back there and remove whatever is sticking into me.
Can do, yep. And it is just a little Toolmaker's pin. The kind of one that they wanted to stick you with earlier. The kind of one that John took away, the one that you resisted before. And she's just looking at you and going, "You're going to be so happy, Dan, helping us to revitalize the town." And her eyes continue to be blank, and her face looks slack as she says it. And she goes to, like, robotically put her hands around your throat.
I mean, without much effort, I feel like I stop her.
Roll strength.
Are you rolling?
No, rolling. We're rolling.
Okay. That seems unfair.
To her?
No.
Tim is offended that he has to roll to
Yeah,
punk her.
basically.
It's like, what?
Lex knows what I'm feeling here.
Does the boot roll against the ant?
For her, she has a very small die pool. But this action is currently rote, and she has 8 against. And yet, with all that, she only had a very small die pool. It's only 2 successes.
Same here.
So, she is putting her hands towards your throat, still slack-faced, and beneath her temple, you start to see, like, under the skin, a small, like, image of a cog pushing out as if, like a bump under her skin. She is much smaller than you and much weaker. But for some reason, it's almost like wrestling down a robot. Like, she's just much stronger than she seems to be.
She
Or,
should
like,
be.
the not even stronger necessarily, but, like, the rules of the world are bent in her favor.
Yeah, she's in a bad leverage position and everything else like that. This should not be that.
This should not be that hard. Like, truly, it should not be remotely that hard. But with a wash here, you are managing to keep her from choking you. It's your action.
So she's blankly looking at me with this thing of cog.
That is continuing to sort of push into her forehead. She does not seem fully aware of where she is or what she is doing, and mechanically is trying to harm you.
Well, I'm going to try stage 1. I'm just going to slap her really hard.
Roll me a strength roll.
And that's how Dan broke her neck.
It's non-lethal, it's bashing.
Stage 1, I attack her.
I would like to remind you that my
That you're a werewolf? Yeah, no, I got it.
I also just don't have that many solutions to problems, and also not that smart. That's why I hang out with smart
Listen,
people.
I don't disapprove you slap her, but like...
Stage 1! At least it's not like whipping out the claws or anything.
Is that stage 2?
That is. No. Stage 2 is close, of course.
1, he whipped it out a while ago. 2, probably not the first slap. Like,
anyway.
They may not know they're in combat.
They did. Yeah, she has no defense currently, so...
Killing blow. No.
Good God.
It's time for some down and dirty.
Garu for. Anyways, that'll be 3.
3 successes. She'll take 3 bashing.
Yep.
And her head, like, snaps sideways as you hit her pretty hard.
Yeah.
And
resoundingly, one might say.
With a resounding slap, John, you were coming up the stairs. You will hear a resounding slap come from the QC room as her head just sort of, like, looks back at you.
I just sigh as
and
I walk.
The thing continues to, like, push forward in her head. She will make a resolve composure roll.
All right. Yeah.
That is no successes on her resolve composure. So the blank eyes continue to stare at you, and one of the hands goes back to try and strike at you.
Sure.
That is a success.
Nice.
She got a 10. Now, since it's just a chance die, you will only take a single point of bashing. It's not a lot. But, again, abnormal strength as she is just, like, pushing forward. And you got an idea that, like, if it was anybody but you, like, this would be, like, a fucking bad scenario. As she, like, you know, pushes... Basically, she pushes, like, a thumb into your throat.
Good thing I work out that muscle, too.
And the skin starts to, like, split on her forehead as... What are you guys doing?
We are psychically communicating about how hard Dan works his throat muscle for trading.
Neck muscle, specifically.
Sunday is throat day.
Just gonna weight chain to it, like... Ugh.
My favorite is that we were, in fact, psychically communicating. Not a word was said.
I would apologize, but I don't want to.
It's fair.
It's like half an apology. Yeah. So the cog coming out of her head.
It is pushing out, and you can see the skin starting to split, and you can see tears coming out of her blank eyes. She's very clearly in a lot of pain as this is happening. But it's your action.
Yeah, one, I'm going to heal that bashing.
I mean, yeah.
Would ripping the cog out of her head be bad or good?
You have no idea. It is protruding from her, starting to protrude from her head and get long. So, like, unless it was shoved fully into her brain, this is some fucking magical, stupid, otherworldly bullshit.
Yep. My exact words. I guess we're going to go back with the slapping her.
Okay. Are you slapping to do damage, or are you just slapping her? She has no defense, so this is up to you.
Basically, I think it's going to be like, hey, get a hold of yourself. And then, like, I'm going to slap her.
It's up to you. How hard is Dan slapping? That's my question.
I mean, probably hard enough to do damage because I needed to, like...
To actually get through?
I needed to get through.
Yeah, absolutely, man. She has no defense currently.
4.
Bashing?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's going to be unconscious.
She'll be unconscious right now.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. John, you hear a slap.
Okay.
Even over the sound of the machinery, that's like a hard slap.
Oh.
And then you hear, sounds like a struggle, but like, that part's a little tough to tell sometimes. And then you hear another harder slap. Dan.
Yes.
She looks at you, and with the second slap, the cog starts to recede, blood trickling down her forehead, tears in her eyes, and her eyes look at you again. I'm sorry. I didn't... And then she goes unconscious. John, behind you, the heat from the cradle flares, and the two of you are here.
Dan, are you all right? He comes like...
You come into the quality control.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, this got out of hand.
What happened to her?
I think the factory made her try to kill me, assimilate me.
He kind of tries to like throw some clothes on her while he like checks to make sure she's okay.
Easy enough. I mean, she's not okay, but she's alive.
Yeah.
I mean, the two of us will handle that part, and then I'll
Yeah.
get
Easy
myself
enough.
dressed. Yeah.
There is a pin with a little bit of blood on the end, right nearby.
Dan, are you all right?
She tried to poison me. It didn't work.
It's not...
Doesn't work as well in werewolves.
Okay. What did she see? What does she know?
I don't think she... Well, it's hard to say. She seemed to regain her senses at the end, but I took 2 pretty hard slaps to get her there.
Do we need to get out of here with her?
Yeah. I'm thinking that the machine's probably alerting the rest of its followers, and they're probably a bunch of crazy, like,
It
mindless
definitely reacted to
automatons
what
coming
just
to us.
happened.
As soon as Dan says that, the factory whistle goes off.
I'm doing something about that.
Mm-hmm.
I am burning... I'm burning mana.
Hey, man, everybody's got to burn a lot of shit today.
And when the chthonic god tries to manipulate the machines of the building, I am going to attempt to cut power to the entire building and make it so that nothing here can channel electricity.
This is going to be contested.
Okay, let's go.
Fuck 'em up. John.
For clarity's sake.
Now,
Hey, I've done it in 2 different ways at this point, so what else do you want from me?
it does not have a large die pool right now. It is not manifested. But there is something trying to assert its own version of reality as you try and cut power.
Spending the mana to affect building wide. How much ground do I need to cover in order to silence the alarm? Or the area, have that in it, rather.
The area, I mean, this is a huge factory. But
Yeah.
if you just focus it on that one particular, it's literally just one whistle that is going off.
Okay, then I'll just hit that then.
This is, by the way, not a modern alarm system. This is like a factory whistle.
Yeah.
Like an old factory whistle. Cutting power to it would stop the mechanism, in theory, that is producing the, like, is sending the signal to pull the steam. Otherwise, like, if there's a person there physically pulling on it, it'll be, that's what would be going.
3 successes.
Because it is not yet manifested, it does not have even remotely the strength to manifest its reality yet. So it only got 2 successes. You managed to cut the signal, cut the power going to that area. The whistle starts to scream and then very quickly chokes off. Definitely made a noise, but it is not continuing to do it.
I'm going to look around for Our cop friend is he anywhere visible?
He immediately like pokes his head up and says, "What the fuck was that?"
We gotta go now.
Hey, Dan.
Hey.
You got cuffs?
Yeah, I got cuffs.
I point at the girl.
What do you mean,
Probably not necessary.
He cuffs her. Or he moves to cuff her.
I'm not worried about her making the choice to do something.
I got her. Let's go.
All right, let's go.
And the two of you handcuff Amber. Well, Estrada slaps cuffs on Amber. Dan, you pick her up.
Yeah.
The three of you hurry out of the factory. Lola, you summon them all, and they all appear. You summon the image in your mind. A mage would understand this is like summoning the imago, but for you, you summon your imagination. This is how they all appear in your mind. And Dan comes forward, just as you imagine. And John comes forward, just as you imagine. But Jesse and Aviva don't appear that way. Instead, as if floating in mid-reality, a white door opens. This is not... You understand that your intent was correct, but they didn't appear the way that you imagined them. Jesse, Aviva, having just dealt with the Akamoth, Aviva possessing Jesse, and the two of you existing in the subconscious state in Jesse's mind, you see a white door as of nowhere appear in Jesse's subconscious. Jesse, this is not a part of your mind. This is an intrusion. But intrusion is maybe almost too much of a negative word, because from the other side of that door, in a way that you know to be true, the two of you, you feel Lola's desperation and loneliness calling out for help.
I think considering the night Jesse has just had, with all kinds of things intruding into his mind, this seems like a breath of fresh air and escape.
Honestly, getting outside of your own mind right now, especially when your friends are calling for aid, could it be a trick? Maybe, but there's something within the two of you in this place, in this mindscape, that lets you know Lola needs help.
Better there than here.
Random door. I'm down to try it. How about you?
Before you can even agree to that, I think you're still somewhat intertwined with Jesse. He pulls the two of you through the door.
Oh, shit. Oh, okay.
Lola, in Ramona's bastion, through that white door come Jesse and Aviva. Not the way you necessarily imagined them. And you get the impression, maybe to your relief, maybe to your concern, maybe both, that they are really here, that they have come in your time of need to help you. Jesse, Aviva, you are in a dreamscape. You enter into, Jesse, what you will recognize as the quarry, but the trees are younger, things are different. There is a picnic that the two of you see like laid out with a fuzzy, like, video effect erased form by a picnic basket, and then a young-looking Ramona Castro who has one hand on Lola's arm and is snarling in, like, how dare you be here energy. The two of you step from Jesse's mindscape into a dream. What are your dream forms like?
As Jesse steps through the door, the first thing apparent is that he's taller. He's still only 5'11", not quite 6 feet, but he's taller than he usually is. His hair is longer and seems to be under the effect of good lighting and a fan placed in just the right place that it kind of blows like a majestic mane. His smile cracks open, his jaw is just a little bit sharper, and he's got gold fangs in his mouth on the bottom and top of his teeth. He's wearing a tracksuit that is made of crisscrossing patches of denim and gold lame with rhinestone studs lining down both arms. He has a wolf tail coming out the back of the track pants, where there is some unknowable hole allowing the wolf tail to grow. And on his feet are a pair of gold bejeweled cowboy boots. Around his fingers, wrists, and neck, he is dripping with so much ice. It is obnoxious. And as you catch sight of his back, you can see that the center part of the gold lame denim tracksuit is a 3-wolf moon patch displayed proudly.
You step forward, realized in your dream form, and then, because Lola imagined it and described it, a little finger ball about the size of a possum scuttles up, one that you haven't seen or heard from in a little while, and snaps its body at you, goes, "Hey, Jesse, we're here to fuck shit up."
This dream, Jesse does shoot him finger guns.
Aviva.
So in contrast to Jesse's glamour, Aviva comes through and she looks like she's been spelunking. There's still water dripping from her hair, grime underneath her fingernails. Her shoes are even more ripped and destroyed than they normally are. Those boots, the laces worn to shreds at the edges, and difficult to even really tell what she had been wearing, but it actually looks like it might have been a dress. Well, what's left of the skirt. I mean, it's a modest dress. Maybe it's something that she would have worn to temple, but it's covered in mud and, again, destroyed by some sort of climbing, diving. She's been exploring or trying to survive or something of that sort. And there's this air of navigation around her. She seems like in her own dreams there is a focus on finding her way that manifests in the way that she carries herself. With that, as she is dragged into, she's agreeable to being dragged into the dream, but as her eyes land on the scene, I mean, this picnic is still in the forefront, correct?
It's right there, right on sort of the edge of the cliffs. Actually, Jesse, very similar to where you and Dan dove in a little while ago to go into the shadow. It's just right there. Yeah, it is very much the focal point of the dream, and as you get further away from that point, things get a little fuzzier.
So, as she is sort of settling into finding her way, sweeping sort of the baby hairs and the droplets of water out of her eyes, the 2 seconds that it takes for Jesse and the hand grubbler Eidolon.
Yes, it is very clearly not. There's like the way that it moves, it's a little bit off from what the hand grubbler would actually be.
Too much wrist.
Too much wrist, yeah, you know what? Too much wrist.
As they exchange their greeting, Aviva's gaze has fallen to first the picnic, and then to the circumstance, and her eyes land on this younger Ramona, back to the fuzzy space, and very immediately there is a, "Oh, what the fuck is this?"
Roll me your initiatives. Tim, I would like you to play the Eidolon version, dream version of Dan.
Sounds like a plan.
You will be going on Lola's initiative because she summoned and created you.
Are we using our normal initiative?
Add your resistance stat and your finesse stat and roll a d10.
14.
Okay.
13.
So next round, you guys will be going first, essentially. Lola, that was your action.
Mm-hmm. We look like we're about to drop the hottest album.
Kinda.
Yeah.
And at the end of the round, as Ramona can hold 2 thoughts in her head at once and have 2 fully separate tracks of mind at the same time, at the end of the round, she looks around at what you have done. She looks not like afraid, but fucking feel like more angry than she was a minute ago. And there's a weird hitch for a second as her eyes sweep across. She looks at the Dan and is like, "Oh God, an Eidolon." All right, like she gets what that is annoyed that you brought it here.
Mm-hmm.
She looks at Jesse and is like, as she looks at Jesse and Aviva as they walk through and looks at the door behind them that is now gone. A little confused, like, what the fuck is this? Now, whether it's because they're here or because they're not dead, or who knows, but she looks confused when she looks at them. She looks visibly annoyed to see Aviva, and her hand like sort of unconsciously scratches like the side of her nose. And then she looks at the John Eidolon and goes, "No, not that one," and pulls her hand down, and the Eidolon is unmade. Just gone. Like, no, you don't get to do that. And there's like a weird hitch in her voice when she does that. And now we're at the top of the round. Jesse. Actually, before we start the round, Lola.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a little bit of monologue time here. You guys can chat.
Okay.
Now, in this new weird circumstance, Ramona gets rid of the John Eidolon, does not like that you brought it here, but is still, like, very visibly upset and, like, pause. So you guys have, like, a little bit of time to, like, get your bearings here.
Good,
Okay.
because the first thing Jesse does is do a little dance to the grubbler. He does kind of like a little, like, wave with his, like, shimmy with his shoulders, and, like, they kind of do, like, a weird secret handshake.
It doesn't know the steps to the secret handshake the way that it's supposed to, but it does, like, do an approximation of someone trying to do a secret handshake.
Lola has seen it do the little finger wiggle.
It does the finger wiggle.
It does it, so it probably knows the finger wiggle.
But that's about it.
Come on, back around, man. Not enough neck. You know what that means, right?
Jesse, we're here to fuck shit up.
All right. What the hell is going on with this?
We need to get this out. And she holds the box, the locked box, in her free arm to Jesse. Says, "Get this out of here."
Which immediately draws Ramona's attention back to the box.
Lola just kind of looks at Ramona. "I was right. You're so afraid of change and pain that you can't even handle that your son might be right.
I will show you pain.
You can't show me more than I've seen.
You lack imagination, changeling.
You lack courage, mage.
Courage is for those who feel fear.
Fear is a tool.
So say the weak.
The weak stand alone.
I'm done bantering with you, and...
So says the loser."
All right, well, I guess we're done with the RP section. She's going to kill you now, so
Yep.
let's move on.
She's done with that shit.
Jesse, you get the first action then.
Jesse looks around a little bit confused. The grubbler's not acting the way he was. He just saw a weird John form just kind of dissipate, and now he's having a box thrust at him. The box will quickly disappear into his jacket, denim and lame windbreaker jacket, and he'll fuck off. Out.
All right, where, in what direction do you run? This is the first time you've been... I mean, you were just in your own mindscape with Aviva a little bit, but this is the first time you've been inside of a dream like this. Jesse doesn't necessarily know the rules of, like, dream bastions and all this sort of stuff. So where do you go?
You said we see the quarry?
You are at the quarry. Like, somebody... Like, the picnic is at the top of the quarry, like, up top of the cliffs where you can just jump down in the quarry. Like, you can see the water down there, and then the woods and everything are around you. But as you get further away from the picnic itself, reality seems to get a little fuzzier.
So Jesse's going to dart for the edge and jump off into the water and jackknife down into the quarry waters.
You take your move and you snatch the box from Lola?
Yep.
All right, so you grab the box from Lola and dive into the water.
Grubbler, let's cheese it!
The water is cold and honestly just like you remember it. A little cleaner. You notice a few weird things, like just the smells and the whatever in here. Some of the trees that were in the area are younger than they used to be. This is very clearly not the right quarry as it exists right now. The grubbler scuttles along the ground, and the eidolon of the little hand monster just jumps in after you.
Without even really thinking, he tries to use the breaking of the water to sidestep and is puzzled to find out he can't.
Well,
Oh.
roll me a finesse.
Oh, okay.
So it turns out, you're sort of accidentally into this. Dreams are symbolic, and symbolic entrances and exits are actually potential, may actually function as one. However, this is the mindscape of a mage who is attempting to stop anyone from leaving. So, Roll 10 minus your harmony, as if you were stepping sideways. However, the bastion rating here is currently, because she's not strengthened it more, is currently an 8. So you will be removing 8 dice from this pool.
That's a luck die.
It's getting out of a mind mage. So you have the right idea, but getting out of a mind mage's mind is difficult while she's paying attention.
You guys ready for this 10? Well, it's an 8, so.
You try and step sideways, and for a minute you're like, oh, actually, this is weird. Like, this is not a real place, but this could work. But the feeling that you get is very similar to, like, when the gauntlet is wildly high, even though this is supposed to be a locus. And the dream is not letting you leave.
Gotcha.
Now, you get the impression, too, just like, as you're sort of pushing through for a second, this might not get you fully out of the dream to have gone through there, maybe into a different layer, but it would be not in the layer that Ramona's at right now, so things may be getting easier when she's not immediately right here. Aviva, roll a die off with me.
Okay. 8.
10. Ramona will be going.
That was my 10.
Yeah, you need to give
Stole
that
it
back
from
to
me.
Garrett.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. That's my fault. Ramona looks at the lot of you with the Dan Eidolon right there, Jesse with the box trying to escape, Aviva here, you here. She looks angry, doesn't take any aggressive actions yet. She goes, very well. If it's a fight that you want, I am prepared. And reflexively summons her amnion.
What's an amnion?
She surrounds herself in armor, fully armors her whole body within the dreamscape, and sort of growing and crawling out of here, her almost looks like, it's not quite metallic, it's not quite bone. The best way to describe it is almost like demonic plates just grow out of the back of her skull and her mind and just surround her body. Parts of like the older dream clothes like shred, and she's just fully in essentially like demonic looking plate mail made of her own inner demons. And the young looking Ramona is no longer here. Now this looks like a fully armor clad Ramona as she exists in the present day. She goes, then let's fight. And that is her action. It takes an action for her to summon her amnion.
Mm-hmm.
Aviva.
A couple technical questions.
Yes.
Before I understand what my action could be. Do I still have the shroud condition?
Yeah, you still had it from when you were in the previous scene. And
Okay.
you guys are not, this is sort of like a one pulled directly into the other. You still have Shroud.
Okay, so that means I still have the shroud charges. I think it was 2.
It sounds correct.
Okay. So, I mean, Lola didn't really give me any indication. She was busy talking shit.
No, Lola talks shit instead of giving you guys a download, so.
Jesse's got the box.
Drama.
Oh, yeah.
Changeling.
So, I think that means that what's happening at this moment is Jesse takes off with the box. And Ramona takes on this horrific, essentially war form with this armor, right?
Basically.
Aviva's still a little distracted by the circumstance. She looks to the newly armored Ramona and says, "What, were you just fucking jealous that your picnic didn't work out? What the shit is this?"
Okay.
And with those remaining 2 shroud charges, I will be giving myself the ability to hover or fly. Now that's half my speed, but I'm just adding it effectively as an option. In my head, the way that this is happening is that sort of reflexively in her anger, she's lifting off the ground a bit and effectively holding her action to follow in Lola's purpose because she hasn't received a direction, kind of making that prep in her anger, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Lola, you and Dan are going on the same initiative, so the two of you can sort of decide who's going to go first here.
Okay, question. When she was getting rid of Eidolon John,
Mm-hmm.
and when she was donning her her horrid form.
Mm-hmm.
Did she let go of me?
No.
Okay. Just verifying.
Oh, shit. She has a grapple on Lola?
She has and continues to have a hand on Lola's wrist.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. Can I react to that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I would like to try and break that grapple.
Sure. In what way are you going to break that grapple?
Blunt force.
Just
Snap that arm off.
Fire breathing.
To be clear, go for her arm, not Lola's.
Hey, one
No,
of those
take
arms
mine
is
too,
armor.
I
It's
don't
a little.
care.
I mean, both those work, but if
What
we
am
have
I
to,
use-
if we can choose,
Disarm someone.
So I'm going to spend a willpower along with that power and brawl.
Okay. In this place currently, you will be removing 5 dice.
Okay.
She doesn't get a weird space bonus in here. Time and space are irrelevant. Well, time's not, but you know what I mean.
None of it's real. It's just a measure of entropy.
Okay.
Does my spec for payback count?
Yeah, I think so.
2 successes. Aviva reaches over and, with both of her hands, separates the two, theoretically.
Are you looking to knock her hand off of Lola, do damage, or both?
Damage is an option? Huh.
I mean, you're punching. We all have health levels. They're dream health levels, but they do exist.
Just to be true to my intention, I was not pursuing this action with the intention of causing harm. My focus was just get the hell off her.
Then you manage to shove her just enough so her grip loosens on Lola for just a moment.
to be clear, it doesn't feel nice though.
It doesn't for Aviva. As you shove her, you get the very distinct impression that this amnion is not just for show, that she currently is riding several levels of armor in her dream.
So-
Lola.
Now that I have been unhanded, I grab Aviva, less strong and more just desperate, and said, "We need to follow Jesse and get out of here."
As if I would allow that.
She makes a move to run for the edge of the cliff and jump off after Jesse with Aviva. Eidolon Dan,
Is going to act like Eidolon Dan.
he sure is.
What you doing, bud?
I am a big fan of seeing what my dice do before I describe my action because I've seen Garrett too often. So this is going to be an attack.
Okay, so you will be attacking her, and then we'll see what happens.
Right.
Great.
And we'll go from there.
Right? -4 to
Okay.
your attack pool because she already got attacked once by Aviva.
Fighting style applies because she has seen that before.
Yep.
So I'm going to go all out.
Mm-hmm.
Do I get to spend willpower, or is that also...
You do not have willpower.
Okay.
But you may spend, I will say that you may spend one of the glamour for being an Eidolon that you possess in place of willpower. I think that's fine.
Is there a number of glamour per turn I can spend?
1. You are a low-level Eidolon.
Got it. I then will spend an... what the hell is your...
Glamour.
Whatever your weird
Whatever your
changeling
nonsense is.
bullshit.
Fabulousness.
And to activate my 8 agains on brawl attacks.
Lola's dream version of Dan is still a badass.
Every version of Dan is a badass.
Yeah.
Except for the version of him where he's walking away, and he's a great ass.
Nah,
Oh, snap. Exalted level dice.
See what I did there?
Boo. So it's going to hit with 2 successes. The general action is going to be Dan is going to flex. He's going to kiss his bicep. And then he's going to launch himself forward in a Superman punch with a 360 rotation to land a punch directly into Ramona's face.
There's a target you can, go for.
fuck. All right. So, for reference here, Erika, I asked you to assign the Eidolon that you created some stats. What power did you give him?
5.
Just like in real life. Dan and Beef Boy. You Superman 360 cartoon style fist directly into Ramona's face, and like a cartoon, she no-sells it as Eidolon Dan's fist impacts the amnion armor that she is wearing, and it just reduces the damage to nothing. But again, something about the fact that Lola's dream imagination version went for the same fucking spot she just got popped, this whole interaction is making her extremely unhappy.
Dan then throws her a wink.
Yeah, that feels right. I feel like when he threw the punch, it was "I consent to tussle" on the t-shirt, and then when he winks, it's free hugs.
It is definitely a saucy wink, correct.
Does not impact on Ramona, who is a master of her own emotions, but like
I think it totally impacts.
a master of her emotions right up apparently until all of you piss her the fuck off.
Those darn kids.
At the end of the round, with her like split thoughts, just goes, "I will not let you leave that way," and is going to make a roll. Okay, 1 success is all we need, but that was not great. So she uses her shift that she gets. Lola, you are aware of what dreamscaping and paradigm shifts are within dreams. And so she uses one to increase the rank of her bastion by 1. She did not get a great success on this, but it is now 9 to attempt to escape this place.
Shit, I'm a luck die to get out of here now.
Would you elect
She would know. And how this manifests is... Jesse, you're already in the water with the grubbler. Yeah. You swim down to get to the Heseal. So that was what you were attempting to do. And you see like the rocks on the bottom start to rise up, displacing the water and like basically just changing the nature of the quarry itself in this symbolic area to sort of cut off access to the symbolic exit that she, to be fair, didn't actually think of because she's not used to fighting werewolves. She did not think of that as the symbolic exit.
Rob.
Yes.
I have a question. Can I spend my last glamour or a willpower to counterweave her intention?
You don't have to spend for that. You are an Omeneropomp. You may take actions that alter the dream as well. So yes, you are aware that you, as an Oneropomp, as a changeling, can also alter dreams, even this one, to maybe buy others or yourself better chances at getting the fuck out of here. You also, as a reminder, went through several layers of this bastion, several layers of her memories and dreams. So I'll just tell you for free, it is an easier roll to hop into one of those layers away from Ramona than it is to fully escape.
Okay.
Okay? It doesn't, like, obviously it's better to just escape, but finding a layer where there is an easier symbolic exit, if she's blocking this one off, could be helpful. And we are back to the top of the round. Jesse, you have a small metal lockbox in your hand, and the, like, wrong two-wristy grubbler next to you. You are in the water down here. What are you doing?
He's sort of become aware of the scenario he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Does this place... It feels like it's all one contained sanctum.
Yes.
Right? Even though I'm technically in the water in the quarry, this is still part of this sanctum.
This is still part of one realm within this mage's mind.
So then what he's going to do is he's going to duck into these rocks that are forming up and blocking his way, and he is going to hide.
Okay.
And then after he does that, he is going to kind of touch down on that matter that has formed, and he's going to use his gifts, specifically his gifts of warding.
Okay.
He's learned from the spirits how to sense all locked passageways in a given domain, and he can reflexively lock and unlock those spots.
Okay. So here's how this will work. 1, roll me a stealth to try and hide.
Yep.
Because even though, I mean, this is her mind, you still can take physical actions within the dream. It's just hard because she's here. So roll me that. It'll be contested by Ramona.
And I'm sorry, that should be a finesse
plus
stealth.
Yep.
Are there enough shadows in this part of the water where amongst the rocks where I could claim shadow bonus?
Yes. Yeah, this far down. The rocks have not pushed up from the water enough to fully negate the shadows at the bottom of the quarry that existed when Ramona was here in real life, that this memory is based on.
And is this reduced by any dice number?
Nope, it's contested, so.
Four successes.
She did not roll gray. She got 3 successes. So it seems as though Ramona has lost track of you inside her own mind. Now, here's how your gift is going to work.
God, that sounds awful.
Go.
Fucking Jessie is lost in her mind.
Super on brand for Jessie, though. I fucking love it.
Here's how your warding gift is going to work. Go ahead and activate the gift.
Sure.
Is there a roll associated with it?
No. So normally, no.
Yeah.
But it is usually supposed to only work in either the Hisiel or the physical.
Yeah.
It just happens.
So here's what I'm going to say is going to happen. It's going to give you the awareness of where symbolic exits to the dream will be. You are not going to be able to unlock them.
Well, I would imagine that because this is a dream and it's symbolism, they're not actually locked. And they're not actually open.
Yeah, they're
so
just.
If something if it's incapable of existing as locked or unlocked,
Yep.
it really can't. I can't fiddle with that thing.
Yeah.
So it's in this case, it's just symbolically closed or open, right? But I know that there's a passage.
So you will know that there are passages out.
Yeah.
So the passages out are through the Hisiel, in quotes there. There is a small trail that leads from out of the woods back towards town to the quarry. It is where, if teenagers are going to come and make out at the quarry, that's where they go. That is another one. That is very likely the one that she took to get here. You also are aware that there is both a passageway to elsewhere that is locked, but you cannot automatically open. It's like not even what's it? That it is in your hands. It is fully locked. It's going to take something to open it. It does not automatically lock because of your gift, because again, this is not reality in any shape or form.
And also, this is an object in a place, not necessarily part of a...
Yes, but it does contain, as you are suddenly aware, a passage to somewhere else.
Okay.
Those are the 3 in this location.
So the one in my hands, the path in the outside at the woods, and then this locus here.
You are also aware that, so that's this contained area. You are also suddenly aware that there are other realities, other layers to this domain. There are other exits, basically, in every layer of the domain. Some have a couple, some have one. This one has those 3 currently. That's the layer you're in.
Cool.
Aviva.
For clarification, is the action to get Ramona off of Lola instead of the shroud or in addition to the shroud action? Because I didn't mean to double act, so I can just...
No, I think it's fine. I'm good with getting a little loose with that. So you can be floating and also have gotten her off.
Okay. In that case, as Lola grabs Aviva, Aviva's not trying to actively use that ability to float, but I imagine if she's being tugged along, she doesn't actually really need to hit the ground. It's sort of that odd ghostly effect. How obvious is it that Dan is not actual Dan?
Pretty obvious.
Okay. All right.
His t-shirt keeps changing.
So, to be fair, it could be his dream form. Like, the way that he appears could be his dream form, just like you guys have dream forms. But there's something about, just like with the Grubbler, there's something about the way that he moves, the way that he acts, that is not quite Dan.
Yeah. And with that, slight lack of realism, and Lola's not really reacting to him in the same way that Lola is reacting to Aviva, then Aviva is going to follow the direction to try to get the fuck out of here. And Aviva will don the call, or at least she'll try to. As she continues rolling with Lola, she's trying to warp herself with the assistance of her geists in order to make running a better possibility.
Okay.
Is this rolled usually? Or?
Yes, you roll your synergy plus call.
Effectively, I'm hoping to take Lola's speed up along with mine.
Go ahead and roll it.
Yeah, let's do a willpower again. Nervous about those dice penalties, man.
I know, right?
Find a mind mage in her mind is bad news.
Any penalties of which I speak?
Nope.
Interesting. Cool.
Not for this one.
4 successes.
Okay, yeah, you got it up.
So Aviva dons the call, which causes her to, in that way, become one with the final girl. And I would like to I can spend up to 3 plasm in a turn.
Mm-hmm.
I get 2 charges per plasm spent on extrude the call, so I'd like to spend 2 plasm in order to get 4 charges.
Okay.
Nice.
With those 4 charges, am I just extruding the call, or can I move on to anything else?
I believe you can put up an ability, but that's it. That's your action.
Lola, you feel it first. There's a strange ripple in the hand that you're holding. Is it the hand that you grabbed to pull Aviva?
Yes.
So
She's trying to be careful because she does have thorns on her hands, but she's managed to kind of grip her in a way that she is secure but not poking.
the grip that you made sure was secure grows stronger and spindlier, and you feel a strange lengthening in the bones that you're holding. As Aviva spends 1 plasm charge, she warps her body to become spindly and scuttly, and her limbs lengthen, and she does not let go of you as this strange version of her starts loping along, able to move double the speed on the ground, and able to climb walls and ceilings at the normal speed, and also, due to the lingering effects of the shroud, able to theoretically hover and fly at half her speed. The way she is moving in this dream, with this horrific, odd combination of being entirely interwoven with her geist in multiple ways, as well as just the layers of cold water running down her and the way that she is a thing of death, but she is very much alive, and she's proving that as she tries to get you to safety.
Ramona watches this with like a look of disgust. Ramona's smart.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have also now managed to split who she's the maddest at 3 different ways, which is pretty good. Jessie has the thing that she does not want anyone to have.
I thought she lost track of him.
She did.
Okay.
She knows he has it.
Okay.
She just doesn't know where he fucking is.
Which is infuriating.
Which is infuriating. She's aware that Lola is the one who can actually shape things in here, and if she gets rid of Lola, everyone else is probably fucked. She's also continues to be incredibly fucking pissed off at Aviva, who walked into this dream and was like, "What, are you a dumb bitch?" and like pointed out some stupid annoying parallels.
I'll do it again.
So, I'm going to roll a die to see who she's going to try and go after, which will affect what action she's taking.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable.
Ramona is pissed off and annoyed, both at Viva and at Jessie. But she's also an incredibly intelligent woman, and she knows that if you are gone, she can just trap them here and destroy them at her leisure. So she looks at Lola and goes, "You know, none of this would be happening if you hadn't come to this place. I could have given you anything you wanted, severed any contracts that your keeper had over you. You could just be a normal girl. But now that you've been here, I think you deserve some other punishment." And she begins to weave inside of her own mind. Lola, what is your resistance stat?
Composure, which is a 2.
Okay. She gets an exceptional success as she looks at you. You're a creature of dreams. She is a mage of the mind. There's some overlap. She obviously is a dreamer here. But she looks at you and frowns in disappointment. The mind is a very fragile thing. And she turns her head a pity. And your sense of self begins to fracture. You will take 3 bashing damage. And you will take a -2 penalty on every action you take within the mindscape, as your mind begins to shatter and she fractures. This is not a clarity attack, to be clear.
Yeah.
This is a sundering of your mental faculties. as she psychically assaults your mind. Apparently she's mad. This is the first time she's done any sort of blunt force like, no, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't do anything to weave her magic, correct?
There are actions she takes, yes. She is like moving her hands
Finger
and like
wigglings.
moving things around. She has like that little thing of keys.
Is she speaking in high tongue?
She is.
Okay.
Lola and Danilon.
Danilon.
Idle Dan. It is your actions.
Never idle.
Dandelion.
Oh, that's really cute, though.
I know. Lola kind of lets out a cry as she begins to break apart, and probably because this is a reflection of the dreams, I'm gonna guess that the flowers of her mien begin to lose their petals.
And in the real world, unseen by anyone here, another leaf falls off a holly branch.
But she's still not powerless here.
She is not.
And she has her people.
She does.
She knows, however hard it may be, she has to protect them, but she also has to let them do what they do best. And so Lola sticks with her plan, and she makes an attempt, and I think I probably need to spend a glamour on this. The place of transition in the dream, there are multiple of them. There are multiple paths out.
There are.
Currently, the party is split.
They are.
Jesse is in one place. She and Aviva are headed to the place where he is.
You assume.
Yep. I mean, Aviva's still running for the edge of the cliff, and she is letting Aviva pull her along, no resistance, keeping her legs moving, but she has to make sure the landing sticks.
Mm-hmm.
So Lola would like to do two things.
Okay.
I don't know if I can do them both. We'll see.
We'll see. What you doing?
First of all, she wants to shut that bitch's mouth and take away mouth privileges.
Okay.
Just wipe John's mom's mouth away.
Okay.
So she can no longer use high speech. She also wants to change the closest path out of this particular layer of dream
Mm-hmm.
to be in the quarry pool.
There is one there already.
Mm-hmm.
But you may attempt to erode it so it is easier to leave.
Okay.
Those are two separate actions.
Yeah, I thought they might be.
So you can either attack John's mom or try and erode a way out so you guys can get to at least another layer of this bastion.
Escape is the goal.
Okay.
Fucking up John's mom, that'd be great, but escape is the goal. So she is, hopefully as she and Aviva get close to or start breaching the edge of the cliff, she just kind of gives a wiping motion with her hand over the waters, not like less like a priest baptizing or things like that, but with the same amount of conviction, and attempts to wipe away the defenses that John's mom has put up.
Roll me a dream shaping.
Okay. Is this going to be different than the last one?
You're going to be rolling power, and this time, because you're attempting to essentially carve a path, you'll be using survival. You are at
It
a
is.
-2 because of your brain damage.
That it would be unskilled would take away 1. So that would leave her with 1 die. She's going to spend her last willpower.
Mm-hmm. You said you spent a glamour on this?
If I have to.
You don't have to, but I will allow you to use a bonus because your glamour will help you. So if that is something you want to do, you may, and I will say that it will have an effect, but you do not have to. You can just try and symbolically brute force this.
Go big or go home time. She has one last thing she can try if this doesn't work.
Okay.
I lied. I apparently have 1 glamour left after this.
Okay. All right.
Whoo, boy.
I will tell you, if you get an exceptional success on this, this will be the way out. If you get a regular success on this, it will make it easier for everyone to get to another layer of the bastion.
I don't think I'm capable of getting an exceptional success on this.
10s explode.
You never know.
10s explode. That's true. No successes.
As the two of you hit the cliff's edge, you try and channel your ability to shape dreams, but it is as if this place itself resists you. And it is hard to focus after Ramona got inside your head in a very literal way. Dan,
Yes.
You just tried to spear her with a Superman punch.
We're not using phrasing anymore.
She is she is standing in front of you, looking at Lola, casting her spells and doing all sorts of shit. What are you doing?
All right. I will generally describe what I'm going to be doing, and then we'll roll and we'll get into further description.
Yep.
I am going to be spending one of these Fey bullshit glamours
Yes.
to transform into my Garu form.
Okay.
From there, I will perform an attack. And as an attack, as long as I generally succeed, she will then be in a grapple.
Okay. Lola, describe the Eidolon's Garu form.
It's probably less horrifying to Lola than it would be in the real world because she sees Dan as a protector. And so his shift into the form is majestic, almost like light dancing off a ribbon. He's still fearsome to behold, but there is fire in his eyes, and he is still his same shade of tawny. His shirt rips off.
I was going to say the shirt's staying on. Hilarious.
But it rips off.
Revealing a secondary shirt.
Secondary shirt on a brawny, tawny werewolf.
And he shreds when it says free hugs. And he is stronger and more muscly and more determined to fuck this bitch up.
Dan, make your attack roll. -5 dice for her defense.
Wow.
What is up?
That'll be 8 against explode. So that'll be 4 before claws. That is 6 damage altogether. And a successful claw attack starts a grapple. Which means she, on her turn, has to resist it.
She's not, like, really attempting to defend herself against the Eidolon. Like, to her, it's like, this is a fucking Eidolon. Who cares? It's not even a strong Eidolon. And then for the first time, blood is drawn on Dream Ramona. She loses a single point of health. She has armor 5. And looks incensed. Like, wait, what the fuck? As Dream Dan rakes her with his claws and is grappling her. Which, you will also now find out, imposes casting penalties. Fuck, okay. That's the Eidolon. She is going to try and, I guess, break the grapple from this stupid Eidolon. She's going to roll, Dan, roll your power plus brawl to keep her in the thing. She will roll her power plus brawl. Because of how Lola designed you, her power's not actually that much higher than yours right now. She has 4 successes to force you off of her.
5 successes to maintain the grapple.
She, like, struggles in place and she's very frustrated. And also, you guys get a little bit of the sense, like, kind of embarrassed. Like, this is a fucking minor Eidolon. Like, how is it grappling me? This is bullshit.
Because I'm powering it, bitch.
Yeah, the real answer is yes. Lola's perception of Dan as a protector, as a warrior, is so strong that, like, this fucking Eidolon has damaged Ramona and is holding her in place.
Even a minor version of Lola's understanding of Dan as a friend has the power of love behind it.
I know the power of friendship is like a little... But my God. Yeah, power of friendship. Straight up. And now we're in a new round. Jesse.
So Jesse is hiding in and amongst the rocks in the water.
You've got the little lockbox in your hand. The Grubbler Eidolon is nearby.
Peeking around those rocks, I imagine he can probably still see where the conflict is going on.
Yes. As a matter of fact, you see a, like, horrifying ghost monster version of Aviva and Lola approaching the edge of the cliff.
How close am I to where the Dream Dan is grappling Ramona?
Let's say, like, from where you are, I don't know, like 20, 30 feet.
Can he cross that in a single move and still act if he was in perhaps Urshul form.
What's your speed? No, remember, you're like up a cliff because you jumped off a cliff. You'd have to be able to like fly or climb up the cliff at speed to be able to do that.
Be able to jump or climb, right? Yeah.
It's like a, what did we say? That was like a 10, 20 foot cliff. So
he's speed 18 in Urshul form.
You're going to be at a penalty to climb the cliff because it is like a sheer quarry cliff. Probably not to get into just because you jumped 20 feet down.
That's perfect. So Jesse grabs the lockbox and shoves it into the grubbler's hands.
Into the grubbler?
Grubble this like your life depends on it. And do not let her have it.
Yeah, Jesse.
I'll be right back.
Okay. You want me to...
Jesse ducks behind a rock, and in a way that only an Araka can, he disappears and reappears right next to Ramona.
Done.
And when he's reappeared, he spends a point of essence to have reflexively shifted into Urshul, and now is a mighty direwolf wearing a gold lame and denim tracksuit with a 3-wolf moon patch, and with a swift gnashing of his teeth, picks those keys right out of her hand.
Hell yeah, roll me.
And then I'm going to use my any remaining movement I have, because the shifting is reflexive. Mm-hmm. It is my once per story arc ability, and it just happens.
Good time to use it.
Since I won the grapple, I was going to choose hold as the...
Perfect, yeah.
Yep.
So she's not going anywhere. What does that do to her defense?
None.
She has no defense.
No defense.
Then make a larceny plus your finesse penalized by nothing. Because your brother's holding her.
My Urshul bonus for dexterity would apply here, correct?
If it bumps your dexterity, and dexterity is your finesse, then yes.
And I will also spend a willpower. 3 successes.
With 3 successes, as she continues to like be held and struggle and look incensed at this fucking eidolon of your brother, you just appear next to her and snatch the keys out of her hands. Where are you headed? I
mean, in theory, I have not moved yet.
Yeah, so...
He chases after Aviva up the cliff back towards the water.
Since they were there the round before, you can basically all of you can be like at the edge of the cliff at the end of your turn. That was a lot. Good job, Erika.
Nice. It was fucking nuts. I loved it.
Aviva.
How far down? It's 20 feet cliff?
It's about 20 feet down to the water.
So it's 20 feet down to the water, but how deep is the water?
Ordinarily pretty deep. Right now, it looks like maybe just 10.
Okay. Does it look like a damaging jump with it being 10?
It looks like it will be approaching a damaging jump. That being said, you can both climb down cliffs and fly right now. Basically, it looks like if you were to jump, you would have to roll some sort of athletics check probably, and if you fucked up, it was going to hurt. But since you're like flying and scuttling, you've got options.
Well, what I'd like to do is make sure that they don't get hurt, because I have all this weird stuff going on with how I am existing in this dream at the moment. This is my idea. I don't know if it works this way.
Okay.
So one of the call enhancement options, it's the one under 1 through 4 plasm charges. You are able to swell and bloat your body in order to increase your size. What I'm thinking to do with this is to sort of use the spindliness of the prior call enhancement to grow. I'm trying to expand in order to sweep the two of them up with me, to use my speed and my body almost as a cushion in case of problems. Just puff up to grow within my own flesh and presence, to sweep them down with me, to jump towards the exit and make sure that they are safe. Absorb the damage that they might.
I will say Jesse is pretty big. Lola is pretty small. In this, both of them in this moment. If you spent 2 charges, that would put you up to the same size as Dan in Garu form. And between that and your weird spindly speed shit and the fact that you can fly and float around right now,
yeah, it's bonkers.
It's fucking nonsense. That will be enough for you to like be able to essentially pick them up and float down without anybody getting hurt.
Let's do it. So you feel cold flesh surround you as Aviva grows and takes hold of the both of you as you join her. and she brings you along with her for the dive.
Because you can fly, I'm not making you roll a thing, and because you have weird extra speed from like pushing off the cliff and all your weird spindly like super big 10-foot arms and shit right now, yeah, you guys can get to the water.
I think, if any, this is the moment at which Aviva looks most like a being of the underworld. Because the final girl's a Dreadgeist. It's not something that is ever usually apparent to those who can't see in Twilight to spot the final girl. But I think in this moment that shows through.
There is so much of between your dream form and the multiple layers of merging with the final girl. The underworld is filled with ghosts, but there are ancient chthonic beings that also live there, completely alien. And in this moment, you have a little bit of a chthonic cast to your appearance. Ramona, still at the top, with her keys and the box missing, being held in place by this fucking Eidolon, just yells, "I've had enough of this!" And she's going to try and dream shape around herself. She'll still be taking a penalty, partly because she does not have one of her ritual cast things, so she can't get as many free things out of it, partly because she's fucking grappled. Now, she can still dream shape because of her prior existing stuff, but she'll be taking a penalty to this. But fuck this, she is going to spend a willpower. Ramona not rolling well, but she did succeed. Lola, you recognize this for what it is first. Ramona is collapsing her bastion. She is going to destroy her own mindscape and all of you in here with it. That's bad.
Yeah.
You have 4 rounds to get out of her mindscape before it collapses with all of you inside. This weird combination of tricks and bullshit that you guys have pulled she's had a fucking enough. And she's going to basically just like, well, if I can't just like piecemeal all of you, then I'm just going to kill all of you at once. And she is collapsing her bastion.
Does collapsing her bastion damage it in a way that it makes it easier to escape?
No. Lola and Dan, your actions.
She's fucking terrified by whatever Aviva's got going on around here. Because that's fucked up. She's a creature of dreams and nightmares, and this is
I do love
holy shit.
I love that Aviva's form in the dreams is like more fucking horrifying and gross, and Jesse's forms in the dream is more like, I'm a big fucking ass dire wolf. Look at my jean jacket. Like, it's fucking, yes.
Well, it's even weirder because we both are, like, Jesse and Aviva, like the rest of the party except for Lola, who's extra striking. We're both pretty people. We have a dot and striking looks.
Absolutely.
So it's like
your dream forms are just
weird.
I don't know. Weird. So what you got, Lola?
Escape is still the goal.
Okay.
I am trying to think if there's a smarter way to escape, because at this point the dreamscaping pool that she's using is not great. So I'm trying to think if there's another better way to get out.
From a normal dream, maybe. From the bastion of Ramona Castro, you need to shape the dream to make circumstances a little easier for you guys to get out. Now, whether that's getting all the fucking way out or just into a different layer that has maybe an easier exit, either way. But there's not really like a magic bullet in this one, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. Which looks like the better way out? Clearing a path to the Hyseal and having Jesse get us out, or dreamscaping a path to one of the exits to a previous dreamscape.
So the Hyseal part is probably going to take you to one of those previous sections.
Okay.
If it's not like an exceptional get the hell out of here. I will say that you are close to that exit, and the other one is back towards Ramona, up the cliff. Knowing sort of how her mindscape is working right now, they're both probably equally difficult. The only other thing that does not belong is the lockbox that Jesse had.
It's with the Grubbler.
With the Grubbler. Well, you don't know what the fuck it is, but otherwise the Hyseal exit is the one that like Aviva is taking you guys towards and is right there. So trying to shape a way open through that is not a bad idea.
Okay, then that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
I can't dreamscape myself to have some survival, can I?
You can dreamscape. Well, that's a separate dreamscaping thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ironically.
If I spend a glamour.
If you spend a glamour to get out, I'm going to give you 3 extra dice on this.
Okay.
Because the glamour, as a changeling nature, you do want to get out of this dream.
Yep.
And it helps you to escape. So there is no auto escape from here. That's not how that works. But I'll give you 3 extra dice.
Okay.
I will also, at this point, because you're trying to get out of this way, you've tried once before. Mm-hmm. And Jesse tried once before. I'm going to give you a +1 die bonus.
Okay.
Because you are literally like being held along with a fucking Uratha. Mm-hmm. And trying to symbolically go into a portal to the Heseal.
Okay.
So that will help. But you will not risk being splattered on the rocks.
Which is
if you
super.
fuck up. So
I'll take that. No successes.
None?
None.
All right. So what that means is not that you guys can't try and go that way, but that it is still very difficult to go that way.
Mm-hmm. As Lola does go down, though, she holds out her hand in a place where if something were to creep out from under things, it would try and grab her.
Okay.
Just kind of bait for the grubbler.
Dan.
Okay.
Yes.
You still have this woman in a grapple. Now, you're an Eidolon, so you are not going to be quite aware that the dream is collapsing because you are a part of the dream.
Right.
So do what you're going to do.
Four successes.
Which is one more than 3.
Nice.
For some fucking reason, this interaction, Ramona cannot stop.
You try and get out of that grapple in your dreams.
Okay.
So I guess this
even.
comes to the next.
I don't understand first tongue.
Eidolon Dan still speaks in English.
But, oh, definitely.
Yeah. Even
Unless Lola's
Or
heard him speaking first.
His first tongue is just oh whoa 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 whoa.
Right.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
the only thing I could not figure out, and I don't know if it's helpful or not because I can't find it yet,
Okay.
is that since I put her in a hold last turn,
Mhm.
I can immobilize her in a restrain this turn.
Yes. I mean, she cannot move from this fucking spot. She has defense 0.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't seem to change anything. So, like, that's...
The problem is, yeah, like she's using her mind to affect reality. I will say that you're stopping her from, like, I don't know, going over to the edge of the thing and just blasting everyone's minds apart. Like,
Fucking Misty Step.
literally, yeah. Like,
Since she didn't break the thing, what I'm going to do, and since it is on my turn, I will reflexively break the grapple and strike her with my claws again to establish a grapple.
You let her go, slap her, and grab her again. That's amazing.
fuck yeah, dude. Let's do it. You let her go. Now this is an attack. She's not grappled, so she gets her 5 defense.
Yep.
He literally ran out of dice to roll.
He keeps on rolling dice.
There we go. 9 successes.
Jesus.
+2 for my claws.
So that's 11,
11.
which is reduced by 5 to take 6, which is half her remaining life.
And she's grappled.
Again.
So basically, I release her, and I essentially deliver a Mortal Kombat-esque uppercut claw that knocks her into the air, and I grapple her as she comes back down.
All right.
You grab her by the foot and pull her back into a bear hug.
Get over here. Fucking amazing.
Some goofy combo shit.
For a second, when the Eidolon of Dan lets Ramona go, she's like, okay, that... And then she's immediately slammed into the air, raked with claws, and grabbed in midair, and she looks genuinely shocked and genuinely angry. What the fuck? Eidolon Dan.
Yes.
She'd essentially been ignoring you because you're just an Eidolon and not even a strong one in her mind. What is your current resistance stat?
4.
Because she's had enough of this fucking shit.
I'm willing to spend my last glamour to increase my
Increase
resistance.
by 2?
Yeah.
Okay, then that will take away 2 additional dice. Even the mental projection of Dan is incredibly loyal. as she attempts to bend this eidolon because she can dream shape too. And she finally rolls well.
Fuck.
Gets an exceptional success.
Oh.
As the dream form of Dan the Eidolon shifts and darkens and is now on her team. Tim, would you like to continue controlling the Eidolon, or do you want to give it to me?
I'm not out of glamour, guys, but
Honestly, probably a good time to be out of glamour.
Yeah.
He puts her down, and she waves a hand towards the group that had just jumped off the cliff. Enough of this. Kill them. Stop them. Top of the round. It's Jesse's turn.
I'm guessing at this point we hit the water.
At this point, you're hitting the water, yes.
Jesse swims down to where the rocks are, puts his hand into the shadow of the rocks.
And some familiar fingers grubble out and grab them.
They pass a lockbox into my...
If that is
hand.
your intent, then yes.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
So he snatches up the lockbox, and he starts fumbling with the keychain he's just stolen, and starts trying different keys to open up that lockbox.
Tell you what, roll me a single d10. This is going to be, it's not a quote-unquote chance die, but we're just going to see if you get lucky on which key it is, because there's a bunch of keys here.
9.
Jesse fumbles through the keys, twitching and twitching. Now, you didn't get a 10. You're not going to instantly open it. By the end of your turn, you will have found a key marked with a rune that slides right into the lockbox, and you can turn it with a click. You can open it next round.
Beautiful.
Aviva.
So as I'm approaching, I am seeing effectively the rock floor of the quarry. And is this comprised of individual rocks, or is this like a smooth quarry? How does it look?
It looks... You know how sometimes like in a quarry you can see where they like drill down and like it sort of creates these like square shapes and columns in the rocks? It's like a bunch of those from the bottom of the water pushing their way upwards.
Square pillars rising?
Square pillars rising, but like there's no gap in between any of the pillars. It's the... Like they're all touching each other.
No gap at all.
Not
whatsoever?
Not really.
It actually is important. Could light get through?
Could light get through?
The gap.
I mean, there are some little areas where there's like cracks and stuff in it, sure. Where's this going?
Well, my current objective is to continue trying to taxi Jesse and Lola towards the exit of the dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm led to believe that the exit of the dream is below us.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly follows along with my underworld logic. And...
To be fair, unless you resist and try to hold on to him, Jesse squirms away from you the second you hit the water and is now fiddling with a box.
I'm good with that. I have not been trying to get y'all in a grapple. I would probably be intending to stay close enough to sweep you guys back through, sort of like the same way that you would, like, I don't know, in real life put a hand on someone's shoulder to guide them.
Both of your movements are fast enough that you guys can basically stay apace. That's not too bad right now.
I'm not trying to enforce that you're with me. I'm more trying to remain able to get you places. So you're perfectly good to squirm. There's a couple ways I could do what I'm trying to do theoretically, and it all depends on how the world is and how it works. I am guessing that the exit to the dream is through the floor, through the rocks. I'm uncertain if that's how that works. This is not my place of power. I am hoping to effectively squeeze these gaps enough, I'm hoping to part these gaps enough to physically intervene with the dream using my increased strength and strange modified body to very literally interfere with the fabric of the dream to make Lola's making a door easier.
Tell you what, next time Lola rolls for something like that, you may roll a power plus survival, and Lola, you can take a bonus of her successes.
Okay. So I have a couple questions with that.
Okay.
With having used the call enhancement to increase my size by 3. That gives me a dot of strength for every 2, so an extra dot of strength. Not having strength, does that affect my power or no?
It does not.
Cool. And then the next question is, if that is at all affected... I can't actually do that. Never mind. Question's answered.
Okay.
So, I am prepared to effectively lend myself to Lola's effort to get us out of here.
We'll hold that for Lola's turn.
Gotcha.
Ramona will appear directly next to Jesse in a manner very similar to how he just did to her by stepping through a gate in her own mind and just go, give that back. And we'll try and take the box back from him.
I spend an essence and I move away my speed, at which point I can make a roll to disappear and give her shadow paranoia.
Okay. What is this contested by?
Nothing. I literally just move away from her as she makes an attack at me. It's a roll I make.
Okay.
So it's the roll I make to give her shadow paranoia is against her composure.
Okay, so in this case, it'll be her resistance stat. So you will be subtracting 7.
Unfortunately, I think in order to actually give her shadow paranoia, I do have to beat her composure with my successes.
Okay.
And considering her composure is an 8, I don't think that happens.
It's currently 7. But yeah.
I'm sorry, 7. But she does, I did get 4 successes, and she utterly loses track of me.
Frustrating. Well, there's other ways to do this.
A question.
Yes.
We're underwater. Are we... I'm just very curious as to how the dream manifests that. Does it sound underwater? Can we breathe? Can we talk? Like, how does her dream express that?
You ever had a dream where you are swimming underwater and can breathe, but like it feels weird to breathe?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was imagining, like, usually in dreams, being underwater is a concept that doesn't actually have necessarily have ramifications until
it does.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that suits my imagination. I just
under the current circumstances, nobody is drowning.
It's just too cool an image to not like.
Yeah. So Jesse disappears. You guys are underwater, and Ramona looks frustrated. As you watch, she dream steps around and is now walking towards Lola and Aviva with purpose. But since you guys are underwater, she is actually walking upside down from the surface of the water. As if, the surface of the water was a floor or a ceiling, and she is just walking along it upside down towards Aviva and Lola. Now time for your stuff.
How would you like to do this, as I am effectively prepped to help Lola's action should we switch initiative?
So, Lola.
Yo.
What are you doing? Are you attempting to force an exit again? Or at least degrade the exit to make it easier?
I would like to do something stupid to ensure that this is more successful. And I don't know if I can, but I'm gonna ask.
I love saying yes. What are we doing?
Okay. My dreamscape.
Yes.
I'm a dream form.
Yes.
I can reshape dream forms.
Mm-hmm.
Can I sack health levels for successes? Or for dice?
So the normal answer is no.
Yeah,
absolutely not. However, I think that's neat as fuck.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you sack dice or health for dice on a 1-for-1 basis, reminding you that you are physically actually here, and if you die, this is going to be real bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to take that big risk? I'm not going to discourage that.
It's this or another stupid big risk.
Fun. By the way, everybody has 3 rounds left until the dream classes. If you harm yourself and get everyone out. Because if you just harm yourself and everybody gets fucked, it's not really gonna. But if you manage to save everybody, but through harming yourself, you will regain your willpower at the end of the scene.
I have 5 health levels left.
So how many dice are you taking?
It's a really good question.
Reminder that if you have no willpower, there are health level penalties. So if you harm yourself too much,
Also true.
you're going to be taking dice penalties. So the math may not actually work out for you.
It may not.
Last 3 levels are the penalties.
So you could take a 2 die bonus, put yourself at 3.
3 is what she took away last time.
It is.
You could also engage in banter again.
I could.
Stall.
How dare you point out my villain's weakness?
I mean, if we're bantering, I want my initiative back.
Clearly the dream is telling Lola that she needs to do something before they leave, and she needs to put trust in her friends. Because there's no reason that she shouldn't be able to dreamscape her way out. Other than that, it's a powerful mind mage, but she's a changeling.
Yep. So it is a clash of wills here.
Yep. So Lola is going to alter tactics.
Okay.
And she turns her face in Aviva's grasp to look at John's mother, who is probably upside down nearby.
She is upside down, like walking slowly and menacingly towards you across the water surface ceiling.
Yep. And it's a nice little juxtaposition of the situation that they're in. Coming from two different angles, two different paradigms, two different goals. Opposites are literally being attracted. So Lola looks to her. Why did you love him so much that you had to get rid of him from your memories? What is it like to love like that?
And she doesn't seem to know how to respond.
You're right. You've seen a lot more time than I ever have, and I love deeply and I love intensely, but I've never loved someone so much that I had to forget them just to go on. Do you remember what that's like? Can you tell me what it's like?
Connections are a weakness towards mastery of the self, and I am nothing but a master of the self.
So
your connections to your friends, to each other, to your loved ones will always hold you back.
So you're like me, but opposite. When I got out, you may know a lot, and I don't know how much, so forgive me if this is condescending. But when you leave the thorns, when you're lost, it takes parts of you away, and all you're left with is who you are. When you become like John, you are born into a world of connections, and you don't know who you are yet. And you build toward that. Your connections are like training wheels to try and push you towards who you need to become.
You're right. Our connections feel important until they are gone. And then, only then, can you truly master your inner demons.
Is that what you've done?
Everyone betrays you at some point. Even your friends around you would do it if offered the right things. I can give the Swansons their uncle back. I can give Aviva her life back.
Wouldn't take it.
I can give John everything he wants.
Is that the one strand you refused to cut?
Who says I didn't?
You.
That's the end of your action. Aviva.
Did that by any time?
She's not currently acting. We'll see at the end of the round.
Okay.
Aviva. You had a held action.
I figure Aviva yells that as she's trying to accomplish her objective, which I don't think... I'm trying to follow Lola's intention to some point here.
So looking for the escape, the symbolic escape route, is not actually shaping the dream. You can just try and get out and open the way.
Well,
just sort of like Jesse did.
Are you saying that the same action that I was going to do of effectively widening the gaps is...
So you were going to take an action to widen the gaps to give Lola a die bonus.
Yeah.
Lola's not trying to do anything right now.
Okay.
So what you can do is just try and open the way out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because it's not like a thing together, you're going to take a 9-die penalty to try and do that. But it's possible.
I don't think that my action would shift from my previous intention to help Lola dreamscape out.
Okay.
I'm trying to sort of follow Lola's leadership. I don't know if I can maybe stay immediately prepped for that action, or I'm trying to visualize how I can...
So the way, mechanically, you're going to have another action come up before Lola's next turn even.
Okay, so I sort of have a spare action.
You have a spare
regardless.
action at this point, yeah.
Okay. So this is a bit odd. So, effectively, usually for this power, recall the memoria, you have to be at the site of a traumatic death or in the presence of a ghost's anchor that relates to the memory. You must know at least 3 details of the memory, and the memory must be of a death or a significant event that led up to the death. I am wondering if I could use recall the memoria to restore the appearance of whoever was in this plane.
So you will know, I'll just give you this little instinctually here. You will know that that will not work because
Okay.
this individual is not dead.
Thank
There
you.
is no ghost to recall the memory of,
All right.
at least within the mindscape here.
Now, just to be very clear, does that mean that I understand that the individual is not dead?
You understand that this is a memory. This is within the mindscape. It's not the presence of a death, or
Okay.
you don't know enough details about things.
Gotcha.
So even if this person is dead in the real world, trying to recall that specific memory isn't quite going to work.
Okay. So in that case, Aviva thinks that through. She kind of toys with the possibility in her mind, but even with staying ready to help Lola, very begrudgingly, she sort of paused in her efforts to let Lola try to talk Ramona down. And maybe unwisely, she decides to add to the conversation to say, I don't think you've cut that attachment. Otherwise, why get rid of the Eidolon? Why try to protect him at all?
Ramona looks down from her upside down water ceiling at Aviva. You think you know me. None of you know anything. But that's okay.
Big assumption to think that I think I
was
know
right,
you.
you know.
About literally what?
Aviva,
Okay, fine.
John and I together could give you life, real life. We could even put that thing attached to you to rest. True, real rest. I could undo you ever having been taken. I could give them back their family. All you have to do is give me the box back. And I could do all of that for all of you. Simple enough. I don't know if you can see, like I can, like my son can, whether or not someone is telling the truth. But look in my eyes and tell me I'm lying.
she does not look in her eyes. But she has marigolds for eyes, so it's a little hard to tell where she's looking.
You do not get the impression that she at least believes that she's lying.
You never answered my question.
It's because she's afraid of it.
Aviva, stop. What was it like to love like that? What was it like to love your sister but still disagree with her?
Disagree. That's what you think this is.
It's what I saw. I would like for you to explain more.
I know you would. And there is a massive splash in the water as a huge Garu-formed Dan hits. And she goes, find your brother. Dan.
Yeah, she didn't build me to find things.
What?
Roll me a finesse plus investigation. You do get your bonuses from being in Garu form. Jesse, you are currently hidden from her, correct? She can't find you. Roll me a stealth against Dan.
You got it.
Finesse stealth.
Five successes.
Dan, you will spend your action looking for Jesse. Jesse, you're hiding. You know he's looking to find you.
I am the Ashville hide-and-seek champion. I think 20 some odd years running now. The rest of the town doesn't know we're playing. And, you know, it might be kind of unfair, but I'm made for this.
As the hide-and-seek champ, I want you also to be aware that because this is her mindscape, you have a feeling that if Ramona decides to fully turn her attention to finding you, she gonna find you. And that means the Eidolon under control is also gonna find you. So, for now, she is distracted and will not be taking any end-of-action rounds because Aviva and Lola are getting under her skin. But if that, trance seems like the wrong word here, but if that interaction breaks or something calls her attention, Dan's gonna find you. But for now, since it's passive, you are remaining hidden. which will actually bring us to the top of the round. It's your action.
Jesse pops open the box and takes a look inside.
The entire dream, everyone in here, including Ramona, are now aware that there is an exit from this bastion into another memory, another dream, not even deeper into the bastion, just a thing that was locked away. But there is now an exit with no wall currently up to get through it. You can just go in there. Now, it's not an escape, but it is an escape from the collapsing one into a different place. Everyone is aware the box is open as soon as it is opened. Jesse's location is not revealed, but everyone knows exactly where the box is, and you were holding the box. So, what you doing, Jesse?
The box is just a portal to somewhere else. There's nothing actually in it.
What was in it is a memory that was locked away. And because of the nature of this place, you can essentially memory hop right now.
So it's not something that can be taken out of the box.
It's not something that can be taken out.
They exist intertwined.
They exist intertwined. Yeah, you can essentially step into the box, be out of this dream, and in whatever lies beyond.
Would stepping into that be also her bastion?
You are unsure.
Okay.
This is... Locked memories like this is new to you. This is actually moving out of the realm of dreams and into the realm of, like, pure mindscape memory. Ramona, when the box is opened, shrieks no and looks immediately... Unclear if she sees you, but looks immediately to where the box is.
Jesse will step out from behind the rocks in line of sight of Ramona and everybody else, and he will kind of, like, square off and give her kind of, like, a look like, yeah, let's go. He is placing himself roughly 18 speed away from where Lola is.
Okay. Jesse appears. Ramona looks at you and just goes, don't. Just don't. Just close it and put it back. I'll let you all leave. Just close the box. Aviva, you're up.
Jesse's making no move to step through the box.
Nope. He's just holding it open so that all you guys can see that there is a portal open and waiting for y'all.
And there's currently a Dan werewolf pointing itself towards
the Dan
party.
werewolf is very aware now of where Jesse is and is going, very clearly going to be going straight for him very soon. It's gone from Dan punch to Dan kill, but otherwise it's the same.
Honestly, they are kind of the same.
He hits hard.
It is terrifying, but in truth a poor facsimile of the real Dan.
Fact.
He's much more dangerous.
True facts.
And I've survived him this long, so I should be all right.
As I sit here getting stressed out by my own character and tension, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Same boat.
Get in the box.
John thinks that you can fix your shit. Lola thinks that you can fix your shit. And as I have faith in my friends, I can borrow their faith that maybe you can be more than you are. But you're making yourself small right now, and I can't help anyone who won't help themselves. And if you think that you're not afraid, prove it. And I'm going to try and shove her through the box with me.
Am I still?
I'm
like,
sorry, when I said her,
enveloped
I
in you?
mean Lola.
Oh. Yeah, what's your speed?
I'm basically inviting Ramona to follow us.
Mm-hmm.
My speed is confusing. Hang on a second.
Your speed is weird right now. Fully aware of that.
Lola, if you wanted to escape this, I'm not trying to full on grapple you. I'm just trying to indicate that this is go time.
She will trust Aviva at this point because she has nothing left.
Jesse, you're you have been so slippery that I'm not trying to full on, again, just brute force you through. But I can't exactly leave room for you since I'm giant, but you get the picture. Okay, so I am 3 sizes bigger, so how does that affect speed?
You would gain +3 speed.
Okay, so +3 right off the bat. Okay?
Yes.
So 9 + 3 is 12. And I am also moving at twice my normal speed on the ground. I do not know if we are on the ground.
You are... So... Yes and no. You had specifically put yourself down to the rocks, and even though everybody's underwater, we're in a weird dream because she's not asserted the reality of the water. So your 18 ground speed, Jesse, it's ground speed. That's fine.
Right.
So same with your ground speed. If you scuttle along the rocks on the bottom, the water's not going to slow you down right now.
Okay, so that is my normal speed being 12, and then it is doubled due to having become spindly.
Mm-hmm.
I think
So it's a 24.
24.
It's enough to
And
get to
then-
Jesse.
Are you like offering the opportunity to pull us both through?
Yeah, I
want
think
it?
that's more of the flavor that I want, because I'm trying to think of how I could bodily. I'm getting caught up on how big I am in character, but I think it's because I'm like big and like the way that I stretched out. I think it's more of like a stretched out, gigantified effect. So if I sort of like use this massive amount of speed to issue my challenge to Ramona, hop through the box, and then two awful, spindly, gigantic hands are reached out to Jesse and Lola to effectively give the offer to yank them through with her.
I mean, to my mind, Lola has not let go of Aviva from when she laced their hands together.
Yeah.
I'll also point out that going into the portal into the lockbox, the lockbox is very small, but it does not seem, in this place of its symbolism and like, it's a portal, you can just, it almost doesn't matter what your size is to go into this portal.
Because I was having trouble, like a carryable box versus...
It is a small, you know those like little small metal, like we keep money in here at the bake sale kind of boxes? It's one of those boxes. It's very small, but going into it, reality is flexible in this place. You can still all sort of go into it no matter what your sizes are.
Lola hasn't let go. She
Yep.
takes the offer.
Jesse, you can also choose to in this moment, or you can choose to stay.
So you reach out towards Jesse and expecting a hand to grasp yours. You instead are passed a fistful of keys. And as you kind of look towards Jesse, expecting to see, like, you know, him ready to come with you, you see him staring over at his brother, and you can notice that his muscles are starting to swell. It looks like he's not planning to leave Dan behind, not really understanding that it's just an eidolon.
Jesse, I don't think that's Dan.
Jesse, that's not Dan. He's a puppet. He's not real. The real Dan is safe.
Because you hesitated, we're going to go into a new round before things end, and that'll be one round left before everything collapses. So, at the end of the round, Jesse, because you're still there, the other two have gone through, and I'll describe what they see in a second. Aviva and Lola, before sort of becoming aware of where the new place that you are, there is a small portal behind you when you can see Jesse through it.
I intend to leave my hand out through the portal.
Okay. Ramona sort of walks from the ceiling and is just sort of walking slowly. She doesn't look... Jesse, you'll see this. The others can't quite. She doesn't look afraid of what's in the box. She looks intensely sad. And she is walking as if to also go into the box.
Jesse is ready to basically give them as much time getting into there as they can and stay here fighting off his brother and keeping Ramona out of there.
So you want to try and keep Ramona out?
Yeah, and I am totally fine with basically, because this is a dream and it's collapsing, I imagine that things start to become very fuzzy for Jesse, and I'm willing to kind of just relent to narrative control at this point. Mainly as with the main intent of keeping Ramona out of that portal and keeping her off the tail of Aviva and Lola.
Lola and Aviva, you step through the portal. Aviva, you leave your hand out for Jesse. And in that moment, the Eidolon of Dan roars and charges, and Jesse shifts to meet it. And the two werewolves, one of the last things that you see before the portal begins to close, whether through nature or through Ramona, is the two werewolves tearing each other apart. And just before the portal closes, Aviva, you feel a hand in yours as Ramona Castro steps through. Whether Jesse was too distracted by the Eidolon of Dan.
It's not that simple.
I'm sure.
If I feel a hand, that's not a...
It's not a wolf hand. It's not.
We're going back to rounds.
Okay.
If I feel this hand and I assume it's, like clearly a feminine, like human hand.
It is a hand in gauntleted armor.
Yeah.
That takes your grotesque weirdo hand.
I did pass
fair.
keys into that hand, though.
The keys, I am going to make a Wolverine self-defense fist with and just lash out at the hand trying to pull her through.
Okay, make me a roll.
Mm-hmm.
Still with your power, you're in a mindscape.
I'm going to spend another willpower because if I just had to hear Jesse get ripped apart for this, I'm not going to let it go that easy. Does payback apply?
Yes.
Are there any minuses?
-5 dice is her defense.
1 success.
You strike out with the keys, and it just scrapes along that like bone and metal armor that she's clad in. She doesn't take the hand. It was lashed out in anger, and she steps through the portal, and it closes. And she looks annoyed and looks down at you after having like lashed out at her, and goes, "I thought you invited me here."
I didn't tell you to touch me.
Lola, I thought there was a hand extended in friendship. Or at least understanding.
Unlike you, I don't control what other people do.
Yes, you do. And then she turns to look at the place that you're all in. The two of you are in a small home. One that maybe you recognize from John's childhood. But there's no one else there. And you're just following a different version of Ramona.
So are there 2 Ramonas in this scene?
There are 2 Ramonas here.
Okay.
One is the one clad in like demonic armor.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is one who's just wearing like a smart pantsuit. And the memory Ramona is just sitting with her head in her hands. And then you see a man who looks, kind of tall and thin that none of you recognize, but it is pretty easy in context to put as John's father. And he walks in, and then all of you, because you are seeing this memory through Ramona's perspective, see the world how Ramona sees the world, how Ramona cannot help but to see the world. And there are ties. You can see the physical manifestations of the ties between people. The friendships, the loves, the symbolic connections between human beings and the world around them. And you see them everywhere. And you hear thoughts unbidden. And this man that just a second ago, you were in a memory where she very clearly loved him and he very clearly loved her. And now she cannot help but to see all of the darkness and awful thoughts and poisonous aspects. What it just is to be human sometimes. Those thoughts that, you keep to yourself, the weird impulses that's like, oh, well, you wouldn't act on that, but she can see them, all of them. And the past Ramona looks up and goes, "Where have you been?" And he's like, "What? I was at work. It's, we're fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it, And Ramona clearly sees that that's a lie. Instantly. More than seeing that it's just a lie instantly, you get the context. You see the growing distance between the two of them. The feelings that this man has started to have, the resentments towards Ramona, and the comforts in Ramona's sister. And underneath all of it, you hear whispers from every doorway, every portal, every symbolic gate in this home, drawing her and telling her how easy things could be to shut it all out if she just submitted to the throne. And beneath those whispers, you hear the nothingness and the silence of the abyss beyond the gate. And you realize, because this is Ramona's perspective, that this is the moment where she understands that there is no escape from the people you love turning on you, the people you love betraying you, that it will always happen, because it has happened for everyone forever. And you know with a dread certainty that it's true, that there is always darkness between people, even if it's little, and that she cannot help but to see it. And Ramona, in the past, takes a deep, kind of shuddery breath, and then from within herself pulls out those negative feelings, a physical manifestation of her inner demons, and casts it away. And this man goes, "What was that? What did you do? Why? Ramona, what was that?" And she looks up and she's not crying anymore and she's not upset anymore. And she goes, "It doesn't matter. Goodbye." And you see the process of her taking this memory from herself and this man and casting them away so they no longer exist.
The man or the memories?
Both. And the Ramona clad in armor that stands behind you goes, "I know it's difficult for you to believe, but I truly do have my son, this town, all of their best intents at heart. Because this will always happen. To all of you. And it is much easier, frankly, a better solution not to have to deal with this. Because by casting these away, I can make sure that others are also not having to deal with these things. This town is dying. It is dead. And so, I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen."
Lola squeezes Aviva's hand because she can tell she's trying to. She wants to say something.
Yeah,
And
you
she's
see
trying to give
Aviva
a
blink.
signal.
Aviva blinks away the massive roll of the eyes that is happening regardless. With your squeeze of the hand, she does squelch down the hurricane of anger she would prefer to unleash and grit her teeth and look to you. There's a squeeze of the hand back in technical support. She'll be quiet for now.
Not unlike how she looked at Aviva when Aviva revealed what had happened to her. And not even that she revealed it, just when she was able to see the trauma that had impacted Aviva. She looks at Ramona Castro with all the compassion in the world. She says, "Ramona, I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Don't be.
I know you don't think I should be. I know you think the feelings are a waste.
Truly, you don't have to be.
But I want to be."
Yes, I know. But it doesn't matter. I have other, more important things to do now. I will put this away again. Simple enough. It's just inconvenient. Plus, this is... Well, you should see the next part, shouldn't you? And she waves her hand, and you go back to that memory that, Lola, you saw very shortly ago when you first came through the bastion, and both of you are standing in a pure black void of nothingness. There's nothing anywhere except for the white outline of a doorframe.
Mm-hmm.
And she waves her hand and goes, "Well, damage done. Go home. Get out of here." Through the gate.
Aviva looks doubtful and
Lola
scans over to Lola.
Lola still looks at her with pity. Wouldn't be well received, but the compassion is still there.
Aviva, purposefully quiet, is trying to take the moment to measure. She splits her attention between Lola and Ramona. There's a part of her that is really looking, trying to take the fairest example of compassion in leadership and to support that by letting that focus go towards that direction. There's a lot more anger, though, especially at what just transpired. So she squishes down what she would have said and gives Lola the floor.
I told John that he, Aviva, and I were similar in the sense that we were faced with loss of self and despair. And rather than try to rebuild who we were, we chose to make a mosaic from the fragments. And I see that's not how you've taken it. I see that you have carved yourself in marble. And that's okay. We are all art. And art is beauty. And beauty has worth.
Mm-hmm.
And can I, before she has a chance to say shit because I'm cutting her off. No. My turn. This door. This portal.
Mm-hmm.
Are we still in a dreamscape?
Yes.
I don't know where she's dumping us. Would I be able to make an empathy roll to know if she was lying?
Mm-hmm. Finesse empathy.
3 successes.
She's very hard to read, so you're not sure. She doesn't seem to be lying. Sometimes it's a leap of faith.
Yeah, but this bitch has been trying to get rid of us. Literally every encounter.
You're not wrong. Context, you also know that you are basically spent. This is still her mindscape, and she could shred you apart in an instant if she wanted to.
As she finishes what she's saying, she gives Aviva a look and holds up her friendship bracelet, kind of like wherever you go, I go, and starts leading her into the gate.
Aviva claps Lola's hand, and we'll be led.
Goodbye, girls.
Bye, Ramona.
When you see everyone again in the waking world, let them know it's already done, and it is truly what is best for the greater good. Don't be selfish.
Same to you.
Door closes.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking bitch.
Jesse.
Yes.
The Eidolon of Dan charges towards the portal. Ramona is suddenly behind you in that same, like, weird stepping through, teleporting bullshit that she's pulled a couple of times. And steps through, and then Dan and you are locked in combat. Even though this is maybe a pale shade of Dan, it is still the shade of a Rahu. And the two of you are fighting as to hold the line as best you can as the portal closes behind you after Ramona steps through. And you are left in a collapsing dream.
What becomes of the box?
Still there. Do you want to try and pick it up while in your final moments here? As the dream, you can see it's a very unnerving experience. This is truly reality collapsing around you.
It's just a box now. The lid is shut?
The lid is shut, and it is once again locked back to the way it was before you opened it with those keys.
Yeah, I think he will snatch it up. And being that he knows that even though this is a pale facsimile of Dan, it's still probably more Rahu than Jesse can really face down with. The way he fights is always being cagey and running his opponent into, like, traps and letting Dan do the work.
You are a hunter. He is a warrior.
A few blows back and forth are exchanged, but quickly he realizes it's a losing fight and starts kind of playing the defensive and just snatches up the case and then basically tries to run him as long as he can before this place collapses.
It's only a few seconds, but it feels like a long time in that strange way that dreams sometimes do. Especially now that Ramona's not here, like, controlling things. And suddenly, you know, you see, like, the trees start to crumble and collapse. You see blackness beginning to overtake everything and encroaching closer and closer to whatever patch of land you happen to be on.
As all of this place is nearly gone, Jesse will make one more attempt at diving at that surface tension of water to try and push out.
Give me a roll.
What exactly is this roll?
Power plus, in this case, survival.
Subtracted by?
-8. Ramona is not here.
By spending a willpower, he'll have 2 dice.
Okay.
It's a 3 and a 10. Followed by an 8. 2 successes.
2 successes from this collapsing dream. You manage to dive. The world is shrinking and shrinking around where you are focused trying to head. The Eidolon of Dan falls into nothingness behind you. The Eidolon of the Grubbler falls into nothingness beside you. And truly there is going to be nothing left of this place. And you make one final dive towards where you usually would enter the Heseal. You make it through. And this place, because of how you got here, because of the strange nature of all of this, you don't get out into the dreaming roads or any of that. You dive through and return to your own mind. However, just before you dive through, the last thing that you see, underneath the blackness of this collapsing dream, underneath the nothingness of destroyed mindscape, way down below, in a place that maybe Ramona doesn't even know exists, you see the clicking and hungry whir of machinery. And then you are back in your own mind, back in your own body, and you sit up in the field you had been in with Aviva, in your human form, no longer bound by the Akamoth or rampaging in Caruth, just with a gasp. In your hands is held a small metal lockbox. And beside you, Aviva and Lola both sit up.
Do I have the keys that I have not let go of?
In fact, you do. Your souls are all intact.
Are Jesse's clothes intact?
No, you went on a rampage earlier. You got some shreds.
So he uses the lockbox to cover up his modesty. Kind of just gives a awkward smile at the two of you.
Aviva gets up with a groan, kind of rubbing her temple, and reflexively looks around, feeling that there's Lola besides her and also Jesse. When her eyes fall to Jesse, she goes, ugh, and sheds the green anorak jacket that she always has as a top layer, just kind of tosses at him.
He ties it around his waist to kind of make it impromptu covering.
Like an apron or a bustle.
Like an apron, I suppose.
Okay.
Having done that, she shoves the keys into her pocket, scrambles up slowly, and just stands looking around at the world to reorient herself.
Jesse's soul was not destroyed. You do not have to make a clarity attack.
Okay.
It's fucking dicey for a second.
Does the 3 bashing I took carry over?
Yes, for you, yes it does.
Okay.
Go to there to heal.
I did, and to get some glamour back. I have done neither of these
In
things.
fact, you tanked all of your resources, right?
Yep. Yeah, done fucked up.
And
You
all
guys
of
got
our
some stuff.
resources.
I'll take you out to the local bar. We can get plenty of glamour.
Honestly, he's not wrong. Anyway,
Lola kind of like sits up and she's like, once she knows she's back in the real world, she grips Aviva's hand even tighter. Like,
Oh, if she hasn't let go, then if I stand up and I realize that you still have hold over me, I'll look to your hand as I assume then that you still increase the grip.
she's like, I don't know where I am. I know where you are.
Yeah. So
And if
as
I'm with you, things are okay. But
as Aviva feels that grip then and that seeking of comfort, she does disconnect you for a second on purpose, kind of in the same way that she did to John's mom, in order to take that jacket off and throw it at Jesse. But she puts your hand back in hers once the jacket is off of her,
all right.
and uses that to yank you up. She's not really looking at you, though. She kind of... Actually, you know what? It's difficult to say. I don't know how innate your feeling senses it are, but she does not seem to be wanting to let much slip through, perhaps.
Lola is... Rob, can she have kept the carnation
the one that you picked outside
outside Grandma D's house?
you have that thought of the carnation that you had brought with you, but it was unlike the weird, I don't know, the keys and the things that the others have. That was truly just a thing of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, you made it through too. Are you good?
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah.
I got the box. He kind of like half-heartedly holds up the little lockbox.
Lola kind of seems to struggle finding words for a minute. She just kind of holds on to Aviva's hand and stares at her friendship bracelet. And she kind of looks at her hand like something was there and it's not. And then she kind of smiles and then she gets sad and seems to go through a vast array of big feelings in a very short period of time. Closes her eyes for a minute, like she's just resetting. There's blood coming from her nose, probably a split lip. And then she just kind of looks. I was trying to help. I went for me and I saw a chance to help. And then I didn't. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine. Don't apologize.
What was that place?
When everyone dreams, they have something called a bastion. It's the safe place they can go, and
It was a dream?
it was a dream. It was memories.
It seemed like what you and John were describing you were getting into.
That's the long and short of it. I just went to sleep. I went to sleep for real, because when I sleep and stay in this world, it's just like the dark, deep place with nothing. And it's scary, and I don't get anything from it except rest for my physical body. So I slept for real, and I went to the hedge because I'm powerful there when I don't have to worry. And I healed, and I recharged, and I saw bastions, and I went and saw Gary's bastion, and he's afraid all the time, and I helped him not be. And
it's like more than he deserves, but cool.
And then I saw my grandma's bastion. She knows that Dolores isn't me. She's been waiting for me to come back. And she doesn't know if she'll remember the dream, but she said she'll remember me. And I felt powerful, and I felt like, okay, maybe there is some purpose for me to be as I am. So I saw this amber dome where Ramona hides. And it took a lot to break in, and I knew it was going to be hard to break out, but like I said, I felt like maybe this was my purpose. So I went in, and I saw Ramona's memories, and maybe they'll make more sense to John, but...
What happened to John and Dan? Why were they so weird in there?
They're not real. They were how I see them.
So why were we there?
I don't know. I tried to bring you the same as I brought John and Dan. I saw you in my mind, but then you walked through a door that I didn't make.
What did you learn about? And he kind of shakes the lockbox.
That's when she gave up. It's when she severed ties with humanity. When the pain got so real and so overwhelming and so all-encompassing that it was just easier and better to not feel.
It's when she pussied out from being a person.
Also that.
After the two of you went through the portal, I heard turning. And as he says that, he looks back and forth between the two of you, and it doesn't seem like much registers on your expression when he says turning. When you hear him say turning, there's something about the intonation of that word that I think resonates with the same sense you picked up that he has.
You mean turning like the tower?
Yeah.
What tower?
I don't know if you want to see it, but...
You're going to eventually. But maybe we need to get you we need to help you out somehow.
And when you see it, I want you to be ready, because you've been through too much for that not to have a risk of shaking you. I mean, it nearly got me out of my own skull.
I think we need to go find Dan and John and figure out what the hell we're doing next.
Don't lose that box. Don't lose those keys. John...
I'll put it in my anorak. He kind of looks down at himself.
It's a good spot for a box.
And Aviva, with a very flippant roll of the eyes, cagey shoulders, just shoves the keys in her bra. Safest
she
place.
Needs those to do her magic easier.
Do you think you could fit the two of us on your bike?
Yeah, Lola's small. Come on.
John heard those keys.
Oh, shit.
I was getting there.
Yeah.
I forgot that, so I'll forget that in character.
John heard those keys. I think they're... Like he has rings. I would have to guess those keys are her rings.
After a second of reflection, Aviva, having just put her hand inside her shirt, looks down at herself and realizes that the call effects, the shroud effects, that they are still happening. And with a moment of focus, drops them. And she shrinks down. She reshapes and becomes what you know to be herself again. Just kind of has those shoulders up, hunched, bit likely to pace. She seems like she's just boxing it off to go to the next objective, but she's person-shaped again.
Once she's person-shaped, Lola kind of like pulls herself closer using Aviva's hand and kind of leans into her like she's asking for a hug but not gonna say the words.
She doesn't stop you, but for some reason she also doesn't give in.
3 of you go to get to Aviva's bike to get back into town. And there is a pile of spilled gasoline and motorcycle parts. Rent with claws.
Oh, yeah. Jokes, buddy. You're gonna have to walk.
I'm sorry about that. He kind of looks really embarrassed.
It is what it is.
That doesn't seem...
It all is what it is, right?
Forgetting Ashville is an actual play Chronicles of Darkness podcast set in the fictional New England town of Ashville. Aviva Caradonna was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Dan Swanson was played by Tim Davis. Jesse Swanson was played by Garrett Gabbey. John Taggert was played by Lex Lopez. Lola Gardner was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Rob Muirhead. Recording and editing by Rebecca Steigelfest. The music used in this episode was by Victoria Borodnova. You can find their music on pixabay.com. Forgetting Ashville uses the 2nd edition Chronicles of Darkness rule sets, including Changeling the Lost, Geist the Sin Eater, Mage the Awakening, Werewolf the Forsaken, and other Chronicles source materials, with a few select house rules. The Chronicles of Darkness are produced by Onyx Path Publishing. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at @PathOfNightPod, on Facebook at facebook.com/PathOfNightPodcast, or email us at pathofnightpodcast@gmail.com. You can help support the show at coffee.com/pathofnight. See you next time, Outsiders.
Oh boy. Everyone calm down.
Dan, the voice of reason.
Wait, hold on.
Why are you checking, man? Just live your life.
I am living my life.
He's doing his best.
Just let it go. I honestly, now that I'm trying to remember this, I think literally we were in person and you were like, hey, you know what I want to see? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing that. It was already in the plan. I could just tell you, but this is way more fun.
I very rarely have an idea of what I actually want to do, so that works.
You want to roll initiative. Fuck you, you liar.
Yes, I know I always want to fight, but we cannot always fight.
You don't believe that.
I do, actually.